Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wisman.
I'm telling you, if this is your first week of Crime and Sports, and we've had a lot of new small-town murder listeners have jumped on for
nice.
Something caught their attention. I think it was the Bernard Below story. They wanted to. There was so much of you guys talking about it on social media that people were like, all right, I'm finally going to try it. And they've all liked it. Weird. We only told you for 3 goddamn years to give it a shot, but hey, what are you going to do? Thank you for joining us, though. And if this is your first or second episode, holy shit, are you in for a treat? Because there's one thing that you're going to know about Crime and Sports. If we take a week off, because I think this year will probably be our only week off, the one we just took, and maybe Christmas. If we take a week off, that means the one that you're going to get when we come back is extra crazy.
Good.
You get like an extra large, insane edition. So, you know to buckle up for that. And wow, do we have a crazy one for you. It's a 70s/80s, basketball player who loved to freebase.
Great.
So that tells you a lot right there. It's going to be fun. We'll put it that way. Going to have some good quotes. Very, very Sly Williams type of situation.
Oh, good.
Very Bernard King situation. Matter of fact, he was traded for Bernard King at one point. So he's on a parallel with Bernard King. And if you remember that episode, you know that this is going to be a treat.
Traded crackhead for crackhead?
Pretty much, yeah. That's just one crackhead who just scored a little better. That's all. Bernard was a little better scorer. But that's all right. Hope you enjoyed the last few episodes. If you have, I hope you have gone to Apple Podcasts, that purple icon, and given us 5 stars. It helps a lot. We don't have any idea why.
It's a thing.
It's not our platform.
No.
It just, that helps drive you up the charts. We don't know why. So do that. Give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. You can say you're following instructions or following directions or whatever the hell you want to do. It helps, though. Thank you. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything Crime and Sports and small town murder related.
Right.
And if you're not listening to Small Town Murder, you're seriously missing out. Start any of the last few weeks and you'll go back to the catalog very quickly because they've been insane. Check that out and do all of that stuff. You can get your merchandise, get your tickets to live shows, which, I mean, we're rescheduling them for, the ones that
we're having arguments and discussions.
Oh, yeah. They're rescheduling them. So if you buy tickets to anything and it does get rescheduled, those tickets are still good. So you'll have those tickets. So if you want to go to a show, we don't know what date it'll be on at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Go on there and buy a ticket and we'll all roll the dice together. How do you say? All right. Good deal.
It's so fucking annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unreal. Also, listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie on Fridays because we make fun of bad romantic comedies. Also, Jesus Christ, the live shows are, it's craziness. It's craziness.
We want to do them too.
Really bad. You have no idea. If you want to be a producer and a huge supporter of the show and have your name mispronounced by Jimmy at the end of the show, and in addition to that, get the access to all of our bonus material. Right. And if you're either show you sign up for, it's all under one roof. So if you do the $5 thing, you get Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder bonus episodes, and there's a ton of them, and they come out every week. This week, we are going to do, because I've had a lot of people ask about books. People are constantly asking about books. So I'm going to do talk about a bunch of like crazy sports kind of memoir books, and do recommendations on that and go over. That? Yes, you do. Yeah, you're going to discuss it with me and ask me questions and shit. That's how this works.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have a ton of them.
That's our bonus episode. They're not anything complicated. They're about sports. It's like sports.
Yeah.
Like
we can start with what are books?
What are books? It's like an internet, but with trees. It's like the internet, but made out of trees. I believe is how Family Guy put it one time.
Hilarious.
Like the internet, but made of trees. So that's it's pretty awesome. Actually, I'm going to talk about some wild. A lot of them are like exposés on shit, so we'll talk about that and give you guys some dirt to talk about. It kind of goes hand in hand with our episode this week, but you'll get access to all that stuff. That's patreon.com/crime and sports, or if you want to just be a nice person and have good karma and just want to donate some dollars without any of that, you can go over to PayPal and use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, and you can do that. That said, let's get into this shit, because it's a deep and thick and fucking crazy one. This is going to be an all-time classic. I love when I'm half hour into research and I'm going, this is an all-timer right here. Like, that's when you know it's good. There's been about 10 of those.
Nostradamus, all right.
You know, like when you're reading, Blood Green and you're a half hour into it, you're like, oh, this is going to be... Yeah, they're going to want to hear this a couple of times.
Good.
So let's talk about our man of the hour, Michael Ray Richardson.
Michael Richardson. Pooh?
No, that's Pooh. No, Michael.
Is that his real name?
Michael Ray Richardson. And Michael, by the way, is Micheal, not AEL as the normal spelling.
Wrong.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Some people spell it like that, but they misspell it like that because that's not how you spell Michael.
Right, that's Michelle.
That is not really. That's just nothing.
No.
That's Mike. Yeah.
Micheal.
Yeah, that's a different name. Michael Ray Richardson, nickname of Sugar.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Richardson.
What year was this?
In the 70s, he gets this nickname. So, I mean, this is right around the time Sugar Ray Leonard was becoming a national star, and it was obviously Sugar Ray. A lot of sugars in this whole thing. So, he's so sweet, though. You can't help it, Jimmy.
Of course.
He's born April 11th, 1955 in Lubbock, Texas. And we'll let him give some quotes here. We have so many quotes from him, and they're all awesome and hilarious.
This is about growing up in Lubbock?
This is about growing up, his whole family.
Yeah.
And this came out of a book. I'll give you all the info at the end of it, but it's called Sugar. It's like excess in the 80s and NBA. It's all about him. And it's basically kind of a biography of him, but like with tons of it, like almost an autobiography, but written, but in the third person. It's really weird, but it's not like I did this and I did that. Someone else wrote the book and just got all of his quotes on everything that's ever happened to him. So it's very interesting.
Sounds like he wrote it with a pen name.
He definitely didn't write it, and we'll definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't happen. So there's a lot of historical shit. This guy doesn't have the focus
the wherewithal
to look up anything goes back to the 40s.
Oh shit! All right.
For some stuff. But he's born in Lubbock, Texas, on April 11th, 55. He says that his father's name was Billy Jack Richardson, which is a tough sounding name.
Yeah.
Billy Jack, like the movie, the wrestler in the 80s. He says since he was in the Army throughout those early days, he would come and go. He says when I was 6, he was gone for good. His parents divorced, and that was that. And his mom apparently worked in like a hospital, like a cafeteria in a hospital. So, not a lot of money here.
Sure.
And there's 7 kids.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he's like in the middle of 7. So it's tough going when dad leaves, and it's not great. He said
it's almost as if you help the poor and the downtrodden, the people that don't have a lot of money, get good access to birth control. You don't have these problems.
Well, yeah. Well, the problem is it's not even that sometimes, because a lot of it could be the religion, because Christians, especially back then, they wanted to have a lot of kids. They'd have as many as you could. That was part of it. And there's still religions now that do that. I mean, the Mormons have as many fucking kids as they can,
regardless of how much money they got.
That's the thing. I guess that's faith.
Yeah.
I guess I'll make enough to take care of all these kids.
That's really showing how how much you believe.
But I mean, the Catholic Church said that birth control was a sin forever, and there was Italian and fucking Irish families that were pumping kids out by the goddamn ton because they weren't using birth control because they were listening to the church. So that's possibly it right there. You never know. So she says, quote, that's when Luddy, my mom, decided to get us all out of Lubbock, a nowhere place that was all dirt roads and hot as hell. He does not mince words at all here.
Lubbock should have that as their fucking town motto.
Yep. It's a nowhere place with all dirt roads and hot as hell on the sign. Welcome. Population, fucking whatever.
Visitor center this way.
However many miserable people. So he had 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters that was still lived with the family here, and they ended up in Denver.
Oh,
yeah, that's where mom takes him out to Denver, which is totally different from Texas. The scenery, the the attitude. It's just the climate. It's just a different place.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, to get us a better life, she told us. He said that he was his mom's favorite.
Oh.
And he's got personality, Michael. That's the thing. And I think he's the youngest boy.
Mm-hmm.
So a mother liking the youngest boy as her favorite's kind of a usual thing.
It's universal.
It's universal. So yeah, she said that she was the sweetheart of his life too.
Oh.
Yeah, she said that she always used to tell him, quote, I'm the mother and the daddy too. And she said that she worked in a kitchen at Colorado General Hospital, always on her feet. And he said, quote, when she came home, I'd rub skin lotion onto her sore feet. Don't worry, Mama, I'd tell her, someday I'm going to have lots of money. I'll buy you a house and then your feet won't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what he's saying.
What a job.
You know what?
Rubbing a 16-hour workday foot? That sounds terrible.
That sounds terrible. But you know what? He's trying.
Yeah.
He's trying to be nice to his mom. His dad left. Everybody says he's like the protector of the family.
Really?
Even though he's like the youngest boy, he's the one that's the most fiercely protective over everybody and things like that. But he has a problem as a child, and that is a serious stutter. I mean, he's got a really bad stutter.
Really?
And that's going to affect him his whole life, and that's a problem for him. He says, quote, I also grew up with a serious speech impediment, a pronounced lisp and stutter. Sometimes that's not great.
No.
Sometimes it was impossible for anybody to understand what I was trying to say. Because we moved into a black and Spanish section of Denver, the white kids had another reason to tease me and sometimes beat me up.
God damn it.
I tried getting back at them by laughing at this guy's big nose or that guy's bad skin, but what I was supposed to do was shuffle around and act like a darky, so making fun of them only brought more abuse my way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he said they wanted him to be, what they wanted him to be. Right. And he's like, well, fuck you then.
He's got a lisp and a stutter. He can't even say stutter.
Fuck you is what he said, and then they... Yeah, and they stuttered punches off of his head, which isn't great at all.
God damn it.
And this will come in later on, as we'll talk about when he plays. He's got a certain chip on his shoulder for certain players. Mm-hmm. He has the best line I've ever heard about another human being.
What did he say?
We'll get to it, about Isaiah Thomas later on.
Really?
Because everyone hates Isaiah Thomas. And wow, does he have the greatest fucking line I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard it said before, and it's wonderful. And I'm going to urge people to use it from now on. So the mother ends up being very overprotective of him too, because of his stutter and shit like that. So that's a difficult thing. And I found out from this book here that basically 10% of preschool children stutter, and 90% of them stop by the age of 12.
Right. And
basically it's like 1% of adult people who have a persistent stutter that. So that's a very small group. Did find, they said, though, George Washington was a stutterer.
Really?
And Thomas Jefferson was a stutterer.
Really?
Absolutely. Isaac Newton was a stutterer. They said Darwin was a stutterer. Teddy Roosevelt was a stutterer, which might talk. Teddy Roosevelt was like he has this image as like this outdoors guy, but he was like a sickly rich kid.
Really?
Yeah, he was a sickly rich kid that couldn't do shit when he was a kid because he was like this fucking, hemophiliac fucking spectacle wearing rich kid. Yeah. That's all an image that he made himself by
the big stick guy.
Yeah. Cause he wanted to be the big guy, but so he went out and did a lot of crazy shit and went and did a lot of outdoor shit to show that he wasn't that. But that's all that came from, all that crazy attitude and racism and all sorts of shit came from fucking being a frail kid that couldn't do shit.
And FDR was in a wheelchair, right?
FDR, he is in a wheelchair.
So both Roosevelts were fucked up.
Yeah, they're both fucked up.
Jesus.
Lenin, also the Russian leader there, and also the King of France from 877 to 879 AD. I'm trying to get this out. I think I do today. Was named Louis the Stammerer.
No kidding.
Yeah, I guess there was that there. So he was very much into basketball from a young age. Wasn't didn't come up like kind of running the streets. That wasn't his thing at all. Like he was into his family. He'd have to take care of his sisters, and he had his mom there, and he was playing basketball. Not that great in school. He's shy. He has a stutter. None of that is great. Basically, his sister, Anita, became kind of his translator, his mouthpiece, basically.
He speaks English.
Yeah.
And he's got to translate.
But like if he wanted to relay something to somebody, he would have a need to, hey, my brother says blah, 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 blah. It would just be easier than it would take him 10 minutes to get it all out. So that is how he met what will turn into his first wife in high school as well. Really? Renee is through his sister. His sister, he said, I like her and blah, blah, blah. Would you like, and he said, oh, my brother likes you, and kind of hooked him up. Yeah. In high school, that's okay.
Given the circumstances he's got anyway, add in a little bit of stress of being able to talk to a girl for the first time. He's never getting those words out.
No, it's going to be brutal. She's just going to be staring at him going, what now?
He'll piss his pants before she says yes.
Lunch is over. The bell rang. I didn't even get my food yet, so I'm going to go now.
We sat here all night. My parents are going to worry where I am.
And we are not making fun of stutterers, by the way, at all. That's an affliction. I feel bad for anybody who's got to deal with that. So, not at all making fun of that, but he makes fun of his own self a lot, is why we're kind of there. Now, he was always looking for a father figure. Always. Constantly in hunt of a father figure. He finds his first father figure was the principal of his elementary school.
Oh, no.
Which is anybody he could find, basically. Yeah. Coaches all become... He tries to latch on to coaches as father figures, and then he's disappointed in them when they don't reciprocate the love kind of a thing. So he'll come
so many other kids to sprinkle that love on.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So he'll have that problem a lot too. And now this guy Michael says, quote, he was the one who encouraged me and helped me to discover that playing basketball was the only way I could truly express myself. Mm-hmm. He had problems, expressing himself. No. Right. So he ended up at Manual High School in Denver, which they said was totally 100% black school, high school. He was made the varsity team as a freshman, which is obviously that's an accomplishment if you're 14 and you're playing against kids that are 18. Right. And they think that you can do that. He says, quote, I didn't play much at first, but while most of the kids were running around smoking reefer and drinking Mad Dog 2020, those were the days, which was the cheapest wine they could get their hands on, I was a good kid and totally focused on basketball. So that's all. He was looking at it like an opportunity, like, hey, no one else is trying as hard as me, so I'll try hard. Mm-hmm. And basketball, he has no problem with basketball. He's one of these guys that one of the books we'll talk about in the bonus episode is one called Ball 4. It's a book written by Jim Bouton. It's about the 1969 season where he was like coming back with a knuckleball playing for an expansion team. And it's like one of the first exposés of baseball where he talks about locker room shit and like beaver shooting.
Oh.
He'll tell you all about that in the bonus episode, but
it's not beavers though, is it?
No. It's no. It's all the locker room shit that no one had ever even heard about before and knew anything about, and he just exposed it all. And baseball was pissed at him for this fucking book. Super pissed. But he talks about in the book that he's not that great of a baseball player. He's like, I have to try really hard and whatever to be a great baseball player. He goes, some of the guys are just instinctually great. Yeah. They can't even tell you why they're good. Yeah. He's like Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays, unbelievable. They're just instinctually the best players. And he said they don't even, if you said, well, how do you hit? They'd be like, I don't know, just fucking swing the bat. They don't even know why. They're just good at it. He was talking about Yogi Berra once in a batting cage. He was in a batting cage with Yogi Berra in the 50s when he was playing with him. And Yogi he was a great hitter and he was this little fat fucking, guinea catcher. Right. And he's raking and the guys are like, how the fuck do you do this? And he said he spent 10 minutes trying to explain like your wrists and your legs and your hips, and then finally he goes, to hell with it, just watch me do it, and that's how you do it. Like he couldn't explain it because he just knew how to do it.
Because he's Yogi Berra.
That's one of it, just instinctual. So it's one of those things that's the type of player he is. Mm-hmm. Like he works really hard too, and if you get a guy who's instinctual like that and they want to put the work in, they're going to be fucking awesome. Yeah. That's when you get Michael Jordan. That's when you get Larry Bird and guys like that. So anyway, he says that he's focused on basketball. They said he would even when it would snow, he would shovel all the snow off the courts outside so he could practice, which we did that when I was a teenager too in New York.
I guess if you got to, you got to.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to play ball for a long time. Right. It's going to be 2 months here where we're not playing ball. It's been snowing.
Fucking Colorado, forget it.
There's always snow on the ground.
You have no idea when it's going to snow either.
It might snow constantly. Yeah. He said he used to dream about playing in the NBA.
Oh my God, the chair just attacked you.
Chair just attacked me. That's good. Jesus Christ.
That was bananas.
Wow, that just jumped up my ass, that chair. My own chair just tried to eat me. I don't know what the hell just happened. A new fucking chair here. So He said, quote, "One night I had to wake everybody up to tell them that I just dreamt that I dunked over Julius Erving," which I'm sure his mother, working 16-hour shifts, was thrilled to be woken up in the middle of the night to hear her son dreamed that he dunked on Julius Erving.
And an excitable stutterer has to try to tell you that.
So he woke her up about 3:30, and then he was done telling her about 4:15, and she finally got back to sleep. He could have been in 10th grade and really dunked over Julius Erving, and I don't think she would have said, "Don't wake me up." She would have said,
tomorrow.
"You can tell me in the morning." Like, I don't need to know that shit. Fuck, man. So he's a great senior year, and he was doing really well. Like, people started to notice him just, because of his stats. And he said, "All of a sudden, I was a hero, and the same people who tortured me now wanted to kiss my ass." He said he even had girls that all wanted him, even though he was stuttering and everything else. He's 6'5". Yeah. He's a handsome cat.
Now it's cute to him.
Yeah, well, he's 6'5", and he's handsome, and he's dunking on people, and you're like, well, I don't care what the fuck he says.
Right.
That was pretty cool. Right. In high school, that's just cool. So he only received one scholarship offer.
Really?
Yep, and he had to, they didn't really offer it to him. He had to
apply?
Not apply, but we'll find out here. It was at the University of Montana. And their coach at the time, Judd Heathcote was his name. He was trying to get a point guard on the team, and he said that they were looking at him, and one of the coaches said, quote, "The kid had a lot of family problems, so he decided to go to a school that was closer to home, looking at a different kid." So they still had an opening on the team. And they were looking at Richardson here a little bit. They found out he had one problem as a teenager with the law, but it was not his fault at all. No, he was mistaken identity. A friend of his was stopped for a traffic violation, and he didn't have his driver's license on him. So he gave him his? He gave his name as Michael Ray Richardson, which is a common thing that people do back in the day, especially before the license photo would come up on their computer.
And he probably knew that his buddy didn't have anything outstanding, so he just gave him his name.
If you're the general weight and race of the person, and they say, 6'4", black male, that sounds about right. Yeah, it looks right. You'd say, all right. So the friend never came to court. He didn't show up, so the police showed up at his house and were like, "Hey, you didn't go to court." And then it turned out to be that the officer said that's not the guy I pulled over, and that was that. So he ended up, not getting in trouble. But that's the only even hint of trouble. And he used to get in trouble for sneaking out of church to play basketball on Sunday mornings too.
Thank God that cop was honest.
Yeah, he could have been like, "Yep, that's the guy."
Cop?
He said, "No, that's not the guy." Missed
cop
him.
that doesn't want to feel like an asshole for getting the wrong guy.
Exactly. So apparently then they were, obviously trying to find the other guy. So at this point too, pretty soon here, he's getting serious with his high school sweetheart, Renee.
Serious.
So he says, quote, "Out of nowhere," this is the coach of Montana, "out of nowhere, I got a phone call from a guy who says, 'Hi, I'm Michael Ray Richardson.'" Just okay. Yeah. "He told me that he knew the guard I wanted had gone elsewhere, and that he was a friend of so-and-so, and that he heard Missoula was a nice place, so he'd like to come up here." No, he didn't. He didn't hear it's a nice place. He was like, "I don't have any scholarship offers. I know they have an opening on the team.
I heard you have a scholarship you need filled."
You missed that one guy.
Missoula sounds great.
It's great. So Heathcote said, "So I called my assistant coach, Jim Bradenberg, and asked who the hell Michael Ray Richardson was, and he said he's a 6'3" forward from Manual High School in Denver." And I said, "I'm not looking for any 6'3" forwards." And he says, "Well, maybe he can play guard. I don't know." He turns out to be like a kind of a 1.5. He's like a point guard that scores a lot.
All right.
But this is also this is the point where they're giving out everything to players.
Really?
This is the really bad times, like in the mid 70s. This is before there was really any focus on, this is before the SMU scandal in the 80s and all that. This is when colleges were just fucking giving suitcases full of cash and cars and houses and everything to players. Like it was just free agency basically. So that's kind of in there. And so they didn't know if they were going to have to pay this guy or what. So they were worried about that. And they snuck in to see him play pickup games with back in Denver. That's what the coaches did. And Heathcote said to his assistant, "My God, he's got some quick hands. Let's give him a scholarship." And that was that.
Done deal.
Yeah, that was it. that's
no house, no car, no
let's give him a scholarship.
Yeah.
And
he took it.
Yeah, think about how easy you could never nowadays call a college and be like, "Hey, coach, how you doing? I'm Michael Ray Richardson. I'm a good player," and then they'd come watch you and be like, "Let's just throw a scholarship at him." They've had to study you since you're fucking 4 now to give you a scholarship.
And good luck getting a hold of that coach.
Yeah, he's not going to answer the goddamn phone. He just called him. But now he's in Montana, and I don't know if you're aware of this. If you live outside the U.S., Montana and a black neighborhood in Denver are way different. There is not a black neighborhood in Montana.
No, entire state.
The whole state's a white neighborhood, a very large one. It's
a very large state with a very small white neighborhood.
As I say, it's not even a white neighborhood. No. There's really just nothing there. So if you're from kind of more of an urban area, this is fucking culture shock and a half.
This is cold Lubbock. That's what it is.
Cold Lubbock. Yeah. Nowhere, middle of nowhere, dirt roads. And
cold as hell.
He says, quote, "Living in Missoula was a shock, especially since I was the only black player on the team."
Oh my God, what?
In the 70s?
On a basketball team?
Really?
What?
Wow. Even Penn has a couple of black guys, you know what I mean?
That explains why they suck.
That's why they haven't been good. And he ends up being their all-time leading scorer. Shocking, isn't it? I mean,
hope they learned their lesson.
Jesus Christ. Next year, it's just 10 black guys. That's all it is. They're like, what the hell were we thinking?
This is crazy.
Get these fucking hicks out of here. Right, 10 farm kids. They suck. People are dunking on them left and right. What the fuck are we doing?
We got 10 John Stocktons.
Yeah. Well, Stockton was good at least.
Yeah, but he doesn't play center.
No, they got 10 John Concacs is the problem, probably. Just 10 Concacs running around. Nobody wants that. Jesus Christ. So he said, quote, "But my mama had taught me to love people for what they were, so I learned to live with them and learned about who they were. My roommate was as country as cow pie, and so were most of my teammates. It took me about 2 months to make the adjustment." This is fucking wild. This is so fun. Keg parties were the big deal on campus, and that was fine with me. Otherwise, I lived like a nerd, and I was so homesick that every other weekend I drove 1,800 miles round trip to visit my family.
Is it that fucking far?
That's 900 each way.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I was like, wait, 1,800 miles? That's a
long, that is a fucking long drive, man. So he's obviously homesick, and the thing is, this is what I love about this guy. This guy is one of the guys that I really like. Some of the guys, you're like, oh, this guy sounds like a fucking asshole. I wouldn't want to spend 10 minutes with this guy. I want to hang out. I just want to go around with this guy because he's fucking hilarious and he's fun. He, he's out of place as it is, he feels, so he grows a giant afro in his freshman year, which I'm like, fuck yeah, good for you. Well, if I'm out of place anyway, check this out, motherfuckers. I love that attitude. And, he does that. In his freshman year, he averages 7.5 points a game. He's a freshman, so they kind of work him into the system. And a freshman in college like that, too. He's not they don't redshirt him or anything. He comes right in and plays. So just getting used to being away from home is hard enough. So, not bad here. So, the next year, though, he has a really good year. His sophomore year, he averages 18.2 points a game, almost 6.5 rebounds. So pretty decent. And Montana wins their first ever Big Sky Conference championship.
Wow.
And they get into the NCAA tournament.
Really?
Yeah, which wasn't 64 teams back then. I think it was 32 back then. And they reach the regional finals before they lose a close game to UCLA, which was John Wooden at the time. And, they won I think, fucking 9 out of 11 championships in a 12-year span or 11-year span or whatever. And so he says after that, though, there's a problem. He says, quote, his coach ends up leaving. Heathcote ends up having to go. And he says, I was very close to Heathcote. I came to him with all my troubles, and he was very supportive and helpful in many ways. Anyway, after my sophomore season, Heathcote left to take over at Michigan State, where he'd be working with Magic Johnson. I was devastated. Yeah, that's like national championship possibilities. He said, I was devastated. Don't go, I pleaded. You're like a father to me. Then I started crying my eyes out. This is sad. Coach, you can't leave me. I don't have a father. But there was nothing I could do. Jesus Christ. That's rough.
I thought you were saying that he left because he got fired. I was like,
no.
Doing that, all that shit?
No.
But it's because he got a promotion?
Yeah. They said, holy shit, he took this program.
Right.
He figured out the formula. Don't have 10 white guys from the farm on your fucking team.
And have somebody who has unbelievable talent.
We've
got one. Come over here.
Look at this. Talent. Look at talented person. So he said that he was so dependent that he talked about transferring. He was like, I'll transfer with you. And that the coach told him, quote, no, your place is here. And so Jim Bradenberg, the assistant, ended up succeeding Heathcote, and he said that he was very close to him too, Micheal was. He said, quote, I was so hungry for a father figure that almost any man who smiled at me and was nice to me would do.
Jesus.
That sounds like a different type of person in need of a father figure. That sounds like a woman who's going over her life and saying, damn it, what was I thinking in my 20s?
You look handsome.
Yeah, that's a weird one. So, Jesus
That's
Christ.
a bizarre statement from a man.
It really is. So 1975 here, if the sophomore year, his coach is leaving, there's some turmoil, but he decides that he's gonna lock something down, and he decides to get married. So he marries his high school sweetheart here.
Really?
During his sophomore season. Marries her. So I don't know if that's a little... It's early. They met when they were 15 or something, so that's a tough one here. But he has a great junior season, 19.2 points a game, 8.6 rebounds. Fucking killing it. Doing really, really well, getting attention.
Yeah.
Bradenberg, the head coach, says, quote, Micheal was always a good kid, a good practice player and a hard worker. If we had featured him more, he could have scored 30 or 40 points every game. We knew we couldn't do that because our opponents would triple team him and he'd be totally out of the mix. Well, it seems like if they triple teamed him, then the rest of that's
should destroy
4-on-2 for the rest of the team. I think that's a pretty good... Yeah, that should be your strategy. Right. If you don't get triple teamed, score, and if you do, give it to the guy who's standing all by himself. That's a really good option as a team, I think, right?
I think you just cracked the code and you're not even a coach.
There we go. Wow.
How did Bradenberg not figure that out?
Genius. Phil Jackson over here. Jesus Christ. And he said that this is when he started referring to himself as Sugar Ray Richardson because of Sugar Ray Robinson, who was, because at the time Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't even a thing yet. So yeah, this is when he starts doing that. So they were 20-9 in his last season here. So pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. He says, let's see, his final season, his senior season, he's 24.2 points a game.
My Christ.
6.9 rebounds. He's dishing assists all over the fucking floor.
Good Lord.
He's crushing it. Yeah. And he turns out to be Montana's all-time leading scorer. And yeah, he's doing well. He's having fun too in his senior season. By the way, he has a daughter around this time. I believe this is the daughter who will become a doctor later on.
Wow.
One of his daughters becomes a doctor.
Unbelievable.
Tamara, I believe her name is. She becomes a doctor. I'm like, whoa, holy shit. Not bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, not bad. Good for you. So he's away from his wife and newborn daughter are in Denver. Yeah. So he's in Missoula by himself, and he says that he starts to have some fun. Yeah. Loosen up.
Fuck yeah.
And, he says...
an adult.
No, yeah. And he says there's general managers, scouts, agents are crawling all over him. Yeah. And this is all new, all this attention.
It's great.
He loves it. Yeah. He says, this is the fucking greatest.
That's why I did this.
And this, oh boy, this is his quote of, this is his glory quote here. Quote, all of the agents, you know what? No. This isn't in their own words. Let's do this here. Let's do in their own words. Quote, all of the agents used the same inducements, fixing us up with Hawaiian girls. Most of them were ugly bitches, but I was living in a fantasy world, so I fucked all comers. Ladies and gentlemen, Micheal Ray Richardson. I was living in a fantasy world, so I fucked all comers.
Ugly or not, I don't care.
He said that to someone with a fucking tape recorder running. He was like, no, that's what I meant. That's
Somebody
awesome.
Penning a book.
He was like, yep, no, that's what I want you to write.
I got something for you.
Here's what you do.
Put that in black and white.
All right.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
That's fucking amazing. So, he's being highly touted and scouted here, and he's getting Hawaiian girls thrown at him from all over the place.
Ugly ones too.
Ugly ones, pretty ones. So the 1978 draft comes around, and number one overall, by the way, Michael Thompson. Michael with a Y.
Oh,
Y and no E. Mychal.
Oh no.
Yeah. Not great. Number 4 overall, Michael Ray Richardson gets chosen.
Really?
Yeah. So in the top 5, there's 2 people that spell their name wrong, and it's Michael. That's amazing. That's never happened in the history of sports drafts. Ever. Never happened.
Who else was drafted that year?
Well, 5th overall was a guy named Purvis Short, but number 6 is a guy you may have heard of named Larry Bird.
No kidding.
So, yeah.
Number 6.
They
chose this fuck over Larry Bird.
This guy, yeah. The Knicks here who picked him could have had Larry Bird, by the way.
Unbelievable.
The Knicks have a history of just shit-piling themselves.
It is just rich with bungling.
Somehow they fuck themselves in the ass.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but they figure out a way to get their dicks bent all the way up back and right up their own asshole. It's impressive.
The Cleveland Browns of the NBA.
It's wild, man. It's a wild scene. So, yeah, he's chosen by the New York Knicks. 4th overall, like I said, ahead of Larry Bird. Reggie Theus went number 9 overall, who ended up being a big star. Got Billy Ray Bates in the 3rd round. Billy Ray is Black Superman, as we might remember. He was chosen in the 3rd round of this draft. Now, his pick, the pick that the Knicks picked him with, was passed around a little bit for some very interesting people. In 1976, the Rockets traded the pick with a 77 first-round pick to the Buffalo Braves, which ended up trading that for Moses Malone, who was a big fucking star here. And then later on, before the draft, the Nets ended up with this pick from another trade, and the Nets traded this pick. What did they do here? They traded this as a future pick with Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, to the Knicks for Phil Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Which is interesting. Coach Phil Jackson. Yeah. So, he was traded for Phil Jackson before he was even in the NBA.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Moses Malone and Phil Jackson he was traded for before he was ever in the NBA. And he's
having kids and fucking ugly Hawaiian girls.
All comers. So he's having a good time.
Yeah.
He his first pro contract guaranteed him $909,000.
Wow.
Which is big money in 1978.
Holy shit.
That's not, that's a lot of money in 1978 for 4 years. So that's great. He immediately bought a Mercedes 450 SL that was gold and had the word sugar embossed on the stick shift in large gold letters.
Not on the license plate, on the fucking stick shift.
On the stick shift, yeah. That's how you want to see it. You don't even care.
All right, fuck them.
Yeah.
I don't care about traffic. I want to see it from me.
It's me. I am sugar, goddammit. Sugar me.
That's awesome.
So they had a press conference for him at Madison Square Garden, and he says, quote, "The first question they asked me was why my nickname was Sugar. Well, I was very nervous, and with all my stuttering and all, it took me about 3 or 4 minutes to answer.
I knew it.
Because my game's so sweet." That was his answer, and he couldn't get that out.
He has so many S's in that sentence.
Yeah, fuck. This is brutal. And the B's, too. He's got B's in it. That's rough. That's rough,
God
man.
Damn it.
That's a rough.
He chose the wrong explanation.
Yeah, that's tough. He should have said, ask my sister. So
That would have been harder.
That would have been great. I had her next to
same
point at her.
Same amount of sentences.
But yeah, and I feel fucking terrible for the guy standing up in front of, and the New York media is fucking brutal. Back then there was a dozen papers and all these radio shows, and they were really up your ass a lot. And for a kid that came from fucking Montana, there's no attention up there. They have one newspaper, some guy with a fucking cowboy hat coming and asking, how'd you think of the game? Good. Michael said he had a good game, and that goes in the fucking paper, and that's that.
There's so few people he can handwrite the newspapers.
Yeah,
hand them out.
There you go. There you are. Have a good one there. Yeah, he says, man, those New York media guys were looking at me like I was a leper, and their reports just ripped me up, down, and sideways. And he said that he started to realize, quote, I simply wasn't ready for the NBA. Yeah. And there's a reason for that also. Now, the Mercedes is what he ended up driving. But before he bought that, he bought a Rolls Royce.
What?
He bought
You don't have enough money for this, man.
He bought a Rolls Royce and then returned it a couple days later because the Knicks coach at the time, Willis Reed, basically told him, you look like an asshole. And he was like, oh, my bad.
That might be too much car for you.
And he took it back. He was like, dude, the other players are looking at you like you're an asshole. They've been playing 5 years. They don't drive Rollses. Who the fuck are you? So he kind of took it as maybe I should bring that back, and I'll get a gold Mercedes instead. So he's fucking partying. Yeah. He goes to the club, Studio 54 later on he's into, the fucking Plato's Retreat. All of these, crazy snorting coke off the table and, doing a girl doggy style at the same time style places were his hangouts.
While the Bee Gees are playing.
Yeah.
They're there.
He's a New York Knicks. So, I mean, you can go through that city with fucking impunity if you're on the Knicks. And especially, too, you can tell it's a dude as tall as shit. And, who the fuck is that? I'll play for the Knicks. Come on in, sir.
Sure.
That's it. So he'd sometimes wake his roommate up, a guy named Mike Glenn, another player, in the middle of the night and insist that he come with him to the disco. Come with me dancing. Holy shit.
What a time to be alive.
This is amazing.
It's 2 a.m. Wake up. We're going to the disco. Get your bell bottoms.
Come on. Fucking
pick your afro. Let's ride.
Let's go. Tie that ascot on and let's do this shit.
Jesus.
Shirt unbuttoned down to the navel and we're doing it.
That's a weird thing. Like, you're wearing a shirt for, the warmth, right? No. Or are you not?
Just because it's required that you wear a shirt. You just open it up all the way.
What a weird thing.
He ends up having Porsches, Beamers, Jags, all this shit. He's known for driving insanely around Manhattan, which is a hard place to drive crazy. And he said he would tell his roommate there, you've got to drive like this. If you don't, you won't get nowhere. He's just whipping around. He'd yell at cab drivers. They were driving like pussies. Cab drivers in New York don't drive like pussies. They're insane. Right. It's not their car and they don't care. So
he's driving worse than cab drivers.
Yeah, that was it. He borrowed $1,500 from his first agent to make a down payment on a Datsun 280Z. And he had that. Then he got a Rolls and had to return that and ended up with the Mercedes.
280 was fine.
That was fine.
It's a fine car.
Fine car.
Jesus.
Little sports car. Good shit.
Nope. What do you need a fucking Rolls for?
That's what I'm saying. So he said he was having a really hard time in his rookie year, though. He wasn't playing very well, and he felt like shit. He said that he would go to Heathcote for advice, his old coach, and he says, quote, I was still playing like a dud, so I didn't want to be seen in public. It was bad enough that the Knick fans at the Garden booed every time I stepped onto the court. But some of them even started throwing eggs at me.
What?
What the fuck? Man, that season I lived like a monk. Oh, that was brutal back then, yeah.
They would egg the player on the court?
Yeah, your own player.
You have eggs in your pocket?
To throw at players that you don't like.
Christ.
Yeah, the Yankees fans used to bring fucking batteries to the bleachers to throw at their own players if they were doing something. It was crazy shit back then. The 70s were not normal.
Yeah.
There was not just, now if you threw an egg, 45 security guards would come over. Back then it was like nobody cared. The guy next to you was smoking a joint. This guy had nobody cared.
It took Jermaine O'Neal laying the wood to a fat Puerto Rican in Denver or in Detroit to stop this whole madness.
That didn't do anything to him.
Right. Had nothing to do with it.
That was the problem. That was the issue.
Unbelievable.
So, 78-79, the Knicks aren't very good anyway. They are 31-51 in the season, so that's not good. Willis Reed gets fired after 14 games. So he did do one good thing, though. He got Michael to return his Rolls Royce. Then he gets fired for a guy named Red Holzman who Michael hates.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he's very trusting is the other thing, which he doesn't have that much life experience. His college was in Montana.
Yeah.
He's kind of, all he did was kind of go home and play basketball. So he's not he's not real streetwise is the problem. And one time in New York, while he's there the first couple of years, someone sold him what they told him was a brand new color television.
Oh, no.
Which he was super excited about. And he gave him the money and he put it in his trunk and he went home and he got home and opened it and found it was just the shell of an old set with it. They didn't even have a screen or a picture tube. It was just like a shell of a set with like a rock in it, and for weight. That was what he bought, and he was like, "Oh
boy, I just bought a $400 rock."
That's what it was. So yeah, he's just that trusting though. He didn't even look in the box to look at. He just trusted this guy when he said brand new TV. He was like, "All right,
unbelievable.
Sure, that guy must be honest." So his rookie season here, he scores 6.5 points a game, but he's playing under 17 minutes a game. So he's a rookie.
Yeah.
They're trying to get him in there. Now 79-80, this is all under Red Holtzman as the coach, who he fucking hated, as we'll talk about in a second here. This team goes 39-43, and he wasn't happy with this. So he said he was finally fed up with Holtzman, the coach, and he says, quote, "Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so on my own I called a press conference." Second-year player who's averaged 6.5 points a game in his rookie year.
This is great.
This is awesome. My first announcement was that Holtzman didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Hello, gathered, assembled press. I would love to announce. I have an announcement to make. My coach, Holtzman, yes. He does not know what the fuck he's doing. Everybody got that? Okay, good night. Thank you. That's amazing.
I'm averaging, coming off the bench, playing a third of the game, and I'd like to tell you
all about this.
Professional sports.
My first announcement, I love the way he phrased that. My first announcement was that Holtzman didn't know what the fuck he was doing. My second announcement was that I wanted the Knicks to trade me and get me out of town as soon as possible.
Announcement one, announcement two.
Now the thing is, to the fans, to come out at the press conference and your team sucks and to say, our coach doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, that will endear you to the fans. They'll be like, yeah, good. Yeah, look, I like that.
We've been saying that for the past couple of months, too.
Then when you say trade me to get me out of town as soon as possible, what they'll do is then torture you till you leave. That's how that works. You've just set yourself up to be tormented for the rest of your days in town.
This guy sucks. We love you. I want out of here. Fuck you.
Hey, fuck you. What's wrong with us? You got a fucking problem with us? Right. I threw fucking eggs at you. That's not good enough for you. What do you want? Fucking filet mignon, you fucking asshole.
We fucking hate the guy, too. We're on your side.
I'm telling you. What a fucking... So, I mean, not helping himself much.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of saying, fuck this team and fuck all of you.
Yeah, and fuck all of you. Fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Right.
Fuck you, I'm out. So, he says that naturally that didn't help my situation out at all. I mean, what did I know? I was a young kid who never had a father to teach me how to be a man. I was impulsive, pig-headed, and I didn't know what was right and what was wrong. Not only did I feel unloved, but I felt unlovable. Oh, boy. He sounds depressed here. Sounds depressed. Well, his second year, though, this year he's doing really well, which is, I think, why he did the press conference. He plays in all 82 games, averages 37.3 minutes a game.
Wow.
He's 15.3 points a game, 10.1 assists.
He's doing great.
Which leads the Eastern Conference, and also 3.2 steals a game, which leads the NBA as well.
So I've learned that
crushing.
Everybody needs to call a press conference and tell their boss
talk some shit. 6.6 rebounds as well for a fucking guard.
Yeah.
So this guy is all over the floor. He leads the NBA with 7 triple doubles this year.
What?
So I mean, people are like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
Where'd he? I mean, he's the number 4 pick, but Jesus, for Christ's sake, nobody expected this, especially
he's
after
better than Bird.
Oh yeah, well I don't know about that, but this year I think he is. Larry Bird at one point calls him the best basketball player on the planet. In the mid 80s.
Really?
Yeah. He says about this year, quote, I was flat out killing people. I really used to get jacked up against the white guards because I didn't like the straight up and down way they played. Maybe they reminded me of the team that beat us for the high school championship, or the Crackers that used to bust my ass in Lubbock. They are Crackers, in Lubbock especially.
Yeah.
It was a white world, and I was just another underdog. Here it is, Jimmy. And even though Isaiah Thomas was blacker than the inside of my ass, He had a white game, so I went after him like he just slapped my mama. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Ray Richardson. He drops the fucking mic and walks off.
Blacker than the inside of my ass.
I was just another underdog. And even though Isaiah Thomas was blacker than the inside of my ass, just real casual, I would encourage, I don't know, black people, I don't know if out there, if maybe that's if you've heard like an old-timey expression or something, but if you've never heard it, now that you have it, I expect you to use it.
Use it every day.
Because that's amazing. That is awesome. So, yeah, he had a white game.
I hope that's not. I hope he created that. I hope
that in the inside of my ass. I've heard blacker than in body parts, but I've never heard the inside of my ass.
Oh, that's a deep dark cave, and that is genius.
Even though he was. I mean, that's just great. I fucking love this guy. He had a white game, so I went after him like he just slapped my mama.
I wish I want him to have paused there to like get the real sting and then be like, what is blacker than the inside of my ass. And everybody in the room paused and they were like, genius.
That's amazing.
This guy's the best.
Oh my God. That's fucking awesome. So he says, quote, that season and the next one were great times for this poor black boy from pig shit, Texas. I love this guy.
He's amazing.
He's the greatest, man. I'm telling you. He's the greatest quote going.
His town was more country than cow pies.
No, his roommate was more country than cow pie, but he was all right.
And he's from pig shit,
Texas.
Blacker than the inside of my ass.
He's great. Hey, this guy is a quote machine. I'm telling you. He's fucking
so
amazing.
Fun.
He's so fun, you know? Aren't you rooting for him? Don't you want him to do well? Don't you want this? I want the story to have, he got arrested twice for minor things and then went on to win the lottery and have $500 million because he's amazing. I love this fucking guy.
And write fortunes and fortune cookies.
Yeah, fortunes and fucking get a gold Mercedes with sugar on the outside of it. Right. I don't care.
He's the guy that writes all the Snapple caps.
Oh, he's the man.
And we believe them, but we don't even know if they're true.
Blacker than the inside of... That would be a great Snapple fact. Isaiah Thomas is blacker than the inside of Michael Ray Richardson's ass. Really? I don't know if that's true.
Great Snapple.
I don't know how you prove that. It's a tough one. So, he said, now the New York fans and the New York press are on my side. I mean, I could take a bite out of the Big Apple anytime I was hungry, and I was hanging with celebrities like Reggie Jackson, nightclubs, women. I was living the high life and running wild all over town. Like the song says, looking for love in all the wrong places.
Aww.
And he went to that. He then says that he loved New York, but he would come home. He used to go back to Denver.
So they're still there?
Yeah, they're still in Denver, his family, like his mom and shit. Yeah. So he used to go home, like, if they had a few days off, he'd go home for a day. If in the off season, he'd go home for weeks at a time. But he's around 81, his sister said, quote, his visits decreased and decreased. He only came home for games in Denver or in the off season for maybe a week. So he's busy now. He's out there living the high life, hanging out with Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
You know.
Or he felt that I was born nearby.
Yeah, comparing people
down in Colorado.
No, Wistman's down there. I don't want to go back there. Jesus
Fuck
Christ.
that place.
It's all trash, and then it's no good, man. It's no good.
There's more pig shit there.
And I don't like it. Yeah, he's like, I can't do it. I mean, I'm here. Isaiah Thomas is blacker than the inside of my ass. I got to be here. What do you want? You're never going to see Isaiah Thomas and not think that again, by the way. Just... he's blacker than the inside of Michael Ray Richardson's ass. Even if he's not, just say it to yourself.
Straight up and down white game.
Straight up and down white game. Well, he played for Bobby Knight. He's an Indiana guy. Okay. So there's they all had to play that fucking stiff game. Every guy that's ever come out of Indiana has the same game. It's a very stiff. So. It's a stiff up and down game.
Fundamentals.
Yeah, it's a fundamental game. So 80-81 here. They are 50-32 this year.
Yeah.
Now we're talking doing well that year, and they lose in the first round of the playoffs to Chicago. Okay. But he has a great year, like we talked about. And he said that he's very aggressive. Isaiah Thomas says he doesn't mention his comparison to the inside of his ass.
Yeah.
But Isaiah does say, quote, he talked plenty of trash, but he was always able to back it up. So that was...
That's the guy that was stung by that line.
Yeah. And Buck Williams, who played forever, he said that Richardson's ability in the clutch was unparalleled. He was just amazing in great pressure situations. He said in the last 2 minutes, it's his game. And then he also, they talk about how Michael Jordan when in his first 2 years, he said that the only two players he hated to play against were two guys. One, Alvin Robertson, who's got an episode of his own that we've talked about, and Michael Ray Richardson.
Really?
Defense, 3.2 steals a game. Yeah. Michael Ray is up your ass. Yeah. I mean, he is a defender. So, I mean, he's a good scorer. He's a great passer. He gets rebounds. He is up your ass defensively. He's all energy. He's everywhere. He's a fucking great player. I mean, he really is. People compare him. Magic Johnson says he's got, me and him have the same game. Like, he compares him favorably to himself. Like, it's pretty impressive. And then the Weekly Soho News, which was kind of an underground New York newspaper, called him the Great Black Hope.
Oh, no.
It was because Jerry Cooney, they were calling the Great White Hope, so they were countering it at the time. It was in context.
Do that in 2020.
Yeah, well.
See if you're ragging.
Can't call someone the Great White Hope either. You can't call someone any racial hope. It's kind of weird in 2020. Yeah, he ends up, over this time, he blows through about 6-7 agents.
Really?
All sorts of agents. He bought 16 cars over this time period.
He is
selling them, getting rid of them. Hanging out at Studio 54, doing his thing.
Oh, no.
This year, he is an all-star again.
Yeah.
So 2 years in a row all-star, 16.4 points a game, 7.9 assists, 2.9 steals per game, 6.9 rebounds.
He's doing great.
He's fucking doing great. He gets himself a new contract.
Oh, boy.
He's living lovely.
Yeah.
He's like, this is amazing. They sign him for more money, that the way he put it, than he'd ever seen in his life. His first order of business was to buy his mom a house in a better neighborhood. So he buys his mom a house in a better neighborhood. They said he surprised her one day by moving her whole bedroom set, the one she had for years and years, to the garage and installing a new one with, brand new one.
Yeah.
The mother said she thought she was sleeping on bricks because she had the same bed for 30 years and it was like a fucking
concave.
Yeah, it was like a goddamn air mattress by then.
Sure.
So on every visit home, he would have something done to make his mother's house better. When he was there, he'd have a new paint, a new porch, paneling, some cabinets or something. He would always hook it up every time he went home because he had the money and he was feeling good about himself for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
Grace.
Of course.
This is Grace.
God damn it.
Doing well. 2-time All-Star. Mom's happy.
Thinks it's never going to end.
Everything's going so well, Jimmy. So well. And all of this is the problem, though. This is the point when one of his teammates introduces him to cocaine.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, the Los Angeles Times, this was in 1982, found that 75% of NBA players were using cocaine.
Of course.
75% is a shitload.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Larry Bird played in the NBA then.
Yeah. 75%. His little wispy fucking red mustache. I'm sure he had some.
There's a little frosted
some coke flecks there. So, and it made sense too because he's the most exuberant, energetic guy there. Yeah. And the thing about coke is for athletes, when they first start doing it, like while they're playing and they're young, it helps their game.
Yeah.
It helps them. They're focused. Yeah. It helps energy.
Faster.
Yeah, faster, more aggressive. You don't think about shit as much. But the problem is that over time, you don't sleep a lot when you're on coke. You party a lot. Your lifestyle breaks your body down, and as you get older and your skills deteriorate, and you weren't practicing as much because you were doing coke instead, and the coke eats you up.
Right.
But for the first 2 years or so, it's fucking paradise. You're playing your best. You're feeling your best.
Yeah.
Everything's wonderful. So, he's doing all of his things. He says that, quote, one night I was with some women and some guys from Trinidad just drinking and partying. Then one of them brought out a sack of coke. I did some serious sniffing, but to no effect. It was simply some bullshit stuff. 2 weeks later, I came across the same folks again, and this time they showed me how to freebase. Oh. Man, that shit was good with 6 O's. That's good. That's really good when you put 6 O's in it. That's a lot.
That's Cousin Eddie eating the gel mold.
Yeah, that's good, Clark. That's what that is. That's good.
A little more of that
freebase, man. Woo-wee. Which, if you hear from people who freebase, they really enjoyed it. Ask Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Or not ask him, but watch his old special. He said he loved it. It was wonderful.
He never said it was bad.
No.
So he lit himself on fire.
Then he was like, well, maybe I should be careful.
Then,
at least.
I think he still liked it.
He did. He said it was not the freebase's fault. He said that first hit felt like the best thing that ever happened to me and the best thing that could ever happen to me. Holy shit. That's a dude who found his calling here. Yeah. I was invisible and invincible on top of the world. Every worry that had been buzzing around my mind was instantly gone. Responsibility didn't mean a thing. It was a freaky drug experience with all of my fantasies becoming possible. I could get it on with 3 or 4 girls at a time and go at it all night long. Man, I barely knew who I was. Only that whoever I was the king of the fucking world. Make that the king of the universe. I spent the next 7 years trying to duplicate that very first high.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. He's chasing the dragon here, and from the get-go, basketball didn't seem as important as getting off. So yeah. He says, quote, coming down was a bitch, though. I'd get depressed. What the fuck did I do? Where the fuck was I? How much money had I spent? A gram cost $100 and would last you for about 2 hours. Yeah, Coke was expensive back in the early days there.
That's a tough way to do it.
That's a tough one. He's in New York, too. So, I mean, it was cheapest there.
Right.
So, I remember when I was in school, and I remember people used to sell Coke, and you'd go down to the city and you could get Coke for like $30 a gram. So like you'd sell it for $100.
Yeah.
So he's getting fucked here,
or he's getting really great.
He's getting really great shit. He said my only consolation was that about 1 out of every 3 players in the NBA was also freebasing. So the season started. There were high time parties going on in every city in the league.
Wow.
So there would be just freebase fucking NBA parties going on. And this was going on in all sports.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. Baseball players, remember Willie Mays Aikens? They'd go have these big Coke parties, and it was everybody. I mean, there was no...
That's unbelievable. It's amazing that more... I guess, never mind. It's just amazing that more didn't die of overdoses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it helps that they're all amazed. They're professional athletes, so their bodies... Yeah, their bodies are in tremendous shape. Their cardiovascular systems are good. Yeah, it is amazing that there wasn't a few more Len Bias situations going on, you know?
Where I still feel like that robbed us all of, like, some really amazing stories.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Len Bias dying. That could have been fucking incredible to watch for so many years.
He would have been amazing. He was a fucking great player. So he said he began hanging out at crack houses, which is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Quote, racing up flights of stairs past junkies nodding on the landings, the peephole in the door, 3 guys sitting at a table, each one holding an Uzi. Then I'd make my transaction and they'd push me out the door. They knew who I was, but I didn't give a fuck. They charged me even less. That's when I failed my first drug test. And that's when he's just not even paying attention. Sure. He was this under the rules at that point. That was called a first strike, and basically another positive test would make him enroll in a rehab program. But he said, didn't give a shit, kept freebasing as much as he could. So, and it just wasn't considered that big of a deal at the time.
Right.
It really wasn't. UB Brown comes in to coach the Knicks, and I don't know if you know who UB Brown is.
He's ugly as fuck.
Yeah, he looks like somebody's nan.
Right.
Somebody's like 78 years. Yeah, we have.
He has like penis skin face.
Yeah,
it's weird.
He looks like an 86-year-old woman. He's got like that like wispy gray hair.
Right.
He looks very sad. So he was talking about Hubie Brown was trying to figure this out because he had coached Eddie Johnson in Atlanta too.
Right.
So he was like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? And he says, quote, this is Hubie Brown, quote, I'm naive. I never smoked a joint or did coke. I never needed that stuff. At the same time, one of the principal rules of leadership is to realize that you can't attack negative behavior without understanding it. So I paid $1,200 out of my own pocket to consult a pro. I thought he was going to say I paid $1,200 out of my pocket to freebase for 3 days.
To find out what it's all
Just
about.
to see what all the hubbub's about. I decided I see what these guys got. I see what they mean.
That would explain the bright red veins in his face.
That's fucking great. No, he consult a pro. I didn't want
a $1,200 binge.
I just decided to take $1,200.
Just for the first time, I'm going to go crazy.
Go in a hotel room and see what happens. You never know. What the fuck?
I'm going to Hunter S. Thompson this fucking thing.
That's right. Fuck it. I'm going to write it all down. He says, I didn't want to lose a damn ball game when I needed 32 minutes of an all-out play from a guy who could only give me 24 because of drugs. So I learned the reasons and methods of drug use. So he said, most of all, I needed to recognize the symptoms of drug abuse. He learned that, at first it would feel like that would make them sharper physically, because it would. It just makes you mentally, you're honed in and shit like that. Mental awareness, all that shit. And also they liked it to party afterwards so they could have sex with like 3-4 women at a time.
Right.
That's what they like. All night.
Right.
That was fun to them.
Did Hubie pay like a crackhead $1,200 who just...
I think he went to a counselor or something, but he could have gotten this information for $50 from anybody on the street.
From any crackhead.
Probably 20, not even 50.
He got ripped off.
Yeah. He said as a result that Hubie here would confront players that he was positive were using coke. He said at one point he went as far as grabbing one by the throat and shoving him against a locker, but he says the players just laughed at him there in Atlanta. And he said when he took his complaints to Ted Turner, who was the owner of the Hawks at the time, he downplayed it as that's a recreational thing. The guys are having fun blowing off steam. Leave them alone.
I am a billionaire and they are my cash cow. Shut the fuck up.
Plus in 79-ish when that happened, it's still everyone still thought it wasn't addictive yet. Right. People used to say it's not addictive. It's the greatest thing in the world. It makes you feel like the greatest ever. You have the most energy. You're the most interesting, and it's not even addictive. Who the fuck wouldn't take that if that was put before you?
Yeah.
So it's the greatest thing in the world, and I won't have to do it, and it'll just make me feel wonderful whenever I feel like it.
I can do it whenever.
Terrific, yeah.
Whenever I feel really shitty, I can not feel really shitty.
Or even great, I'll feel even better.
Right.
This is fucking tremendous. So, yeah, but Ted Turner blew it off as a, it's just recreational. Yeah. They're blowing off steam. They're kids. What do you want? Okay. Whatever. So the 81-82 season, this is quite a disaster for the Knicks. They finished 33-49. I don't know how they didn't fire the coach here, but this is the one in the middle of the season here. There's a post-game interview, and they start asking, they're not going well, so they ask Michael what he thinks, why. And they say, quote, what do you think is happening to this team? His answer is, quote, the ship be sinking. It's like his most famous quote, ship be sinking. It was on the cover of the newspaper, the ship be sinking. And then they said, well, how far can it sink? I'm going to let you guess what he said, Jimmy. How far can it sink?
As deep as my black asshole.
That's a good one. He went with the sky's the limit.
Well,
which
no,
is
it's not.
The greatest answer to that question ever.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. How far can it sink? Sky's the limit. All righty.
The other way, sir.
All righty. The depths of my black asshole. Wow, that's the only how far I can sing. So, Jesus Christ.
So far up my asshole, they'll find Isaiah Thomas.
There he is. Hi. How you doing, Isaiah? Fucking asshole shit coach he is. Fucking hate Isaiah Thomas. A fucking douche. So, there's a possible explanation, and we don't know if this is true or not. The FBI has a possible explanation of why the Knicks are so bad this year. And one of them is, and this is documents cited by an author, it's FBI documents, an author named Brian Tuohy. It's a book called Larceny, Games, Sports Gambling, Game Fixing in the FBI. And the FBI investigated in suspicions that 3 Knicks were shaving points that season.
Oh, no.
For gamblers. All 3 were described as heavy users of cocaine, which, I mean, if there's 10 players, fucking 7. If there's 12, you're going to get 8 players that are, on coke. So that could be anybody. And were suspected of being in league with their coke supplier, who was one of the biggest dealers on the East Coast, they said, which a Knick player could easily make friends with.
Sure. And
apparently the dealer was also a serious gambler,
right,
who would bet about $300 a game on games. And informants were telling FBI this, but in January 82, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he started laying out $10,000 wagers on Knicks opponents.
Right.
So very specific ones, and winning all the bets.
Oh, that's even more suspicious.
That's even more suspicious, yeah. So by March 25th of that year, the coke dealer won 6 of his 7 bets that he had made in, high dollar figure bets, all against the Knicks, while continuing to make normal $300 wagers on all the other NBA games.
Yeah.
So he's got a little something.
What do you know?
Well, the FBI informants told the FBI that one of the Knicks owed a pretty large gambling debt to the Lucchese crime family, a bookie that worked for them. So you got to pay that. Right. That's a debt you need to pay in 1981 in New York if you want to not end up in a car trunk.
Right.
Yeah, that's how that works. So at the same time, FBI agents began to suspect that in the latter part of the season that 3 Knicks had bet several games, quote, against themselves, too. Knicks players were getting against the Knicks. And their suspicion was validated by a source, a informant, who reported that in each game, the Knicks trio had bet on their opponents. The Knicks did lose or failed to cover the point spread in all of those games. Now, obviously, Richardson was a main suspect in this. I mean, he was, if you want 3 guys that are probably in coke debt and shit, the guy who's going around to nightclubs driving crazy cars and blowing coke like crazy is probably a good candidate.
Sure.
He says, though, they asked him in that book was released in 2013, and he says, hell no, we never did anything like that. Okay. Which, I mean, obviously he's not going to say it if it did. Right. So we don't know. I mean, that's all alleged. But
that's an answer that you would expect from somebody that did it.
Yeah. No.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
Oh, shit. There's no confessions, though, and the FBI ended up closing the investigation in 1986 without making any arrests because a couple of the informants had died and, whatever. So the FBI basically and the NBA initiated the sports presentation program, sending agents to teams to warn the players of the dangers of gamblers doing this to them, basically. That's how that works. Now, 1981-82, terrible year for the Knicks. Fine year for old Micheal here. 17.9 points a game. That's up from last season. 7 assists a game. 2.6 steals per game. 6.9 rebounds. Yep. And he's an all-star again.
He's doing his part.
3 straight years as an all-star.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Doing great. Now, then there's a problem in 82-83 here. He says, quote, "We were playing a Sunday afternoon home game against Houston. I'd gotten so high that I completely forgot about the game."
Oh, no.
That's not good.
No.
He said, "I'd been up all night and I just smoked a bowl at 8:35 a.m. when I suddenly remembered that that in less than 5 hours I'd be playing a nationally televised game." Fuck me. So I took a long hot shower, since freebasing is very dehydrating. I drank a quart of orange juice. I got down to the garden at 10:30, took another hot shower, gulped down another quart of orange juice, ate 2 bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches, and suddenly it was time to start our warm-ups. While I was loosening up, I kept telling myself that I'd never do this again. Please, God, get me out of this one and I'll go cold turkey. I'll check into a rehab clinic. I'll do anything. Then I went out and had me a triple-double.
Wow.
So I got stoned for the next 24 hours. It's like, well, shit, I'm all right.
Also, God, don't let me shit in my pants.
Yeah, that would be
put all this juice inside.
Juice and eggs and bacon. Fucking.
Oh, it's a cocktail for explosive shit.
Coming out. So, he goes out and does that. So he basically figured to himself that, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
I don't even need
manage.
I can do coke before the game, and I'm fine. Like, doesn't even matter.
Vitamin C is the solution?
It's all good. A hot shower.
I got it.
Some eggs. No worries. So October 22nd, 1982, he is traded by the Knicks. Knicks decide to trade him. He's been in a little bit too much trouble with a 1984 fifth-round draft pick to the Golden State Warriors.
The other side of the country.
All the way over there for Bernard King, a crime and sports alumni, and a hell of an episode on that guy as well.
He is coming to New York to pass out in Brownsville.
To pass out in Brownsville while buying crack. That's exactly what he's doing.
Behind the wheel of an unbelievable... Was it a Caddy or was it a Corvette?
I think it was a Caddy.
Was it a Cadillac?
No, it was a Corvette.
It was a Corvette, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Corvette. That's what he did. So, yeah. Now, his sister says that when he was traded there, that's when I noticed a breakdown. You could see the change. So he was just a mess in Golden State. Everybody said that. He was just not a good fit there. Hated it. Didn't know what he was doing.
Not any better of a fit than Bernard King in New York.
That's the thing. Well, Bernard was a great player in New York. At least he scored 60 that one game.
Yeah.
So Sports Illustrated at the time reported that Richardson missed an East Coast trip with the Warriors that season because, quote, he owed a lot of money back east and there were people looking for him.
They couldn't let him in. Wow.
So he stayed in California.
Oh my God.
To not go to New York to play a game. So yeah, we don't know why he got traded or what the fuck was going on, but it's not great.
Right.
This is bad stuff. Now, a future teammate of him and really good friend, I think to this day, Otis Birdsong, who was a player with the Nets, he said, quote, at some point it went from snorting to freebasing. I remember the first time I saw that, I was at a teammate's house and guys kept walking in and out of the kitchen. And I poked my head in and said, that's what they're doing. It's amazing to me that guys could do that and perform. But I never knew Micheal had those problems until the problems arose. That stuff just got the best of him, and it has a lot of people as well. So February of 1983, just in a few months, he's traded by the Warriors again, this time to New Jersey.
Back across.
Put him back where he's comfortable there for Sleepy Floyd and Mickey Johnson here.
Okay.
So this year, I mean, he's bounced all over the place. He ends up 12.6 points a game, 6.8 assists, 4.6 rebounds, and he leads the league in steals with 2.8 a game. So not too shabby. Doesn't make the All-Star team, but he's back and forth between the two conferences. So I don't even know who he would have played for. Yeah. So May 1983, though, is his first time checking into drug treatment.
In Jersey.
Checks in. It's right after the season. He checks in at Fair Oaks Hospital in Summit, New Jersey there. And, leading up to that, for the last month, people had been telling the team that he's basically seen in every crack house in town all the time. So maybe they should look into that shit. Yeah. And they, said that he's obviously has a pretty bad drug problem. And then 6 weeks after that, he fails another drug test, and that's when he enters rehab. Okay. That's when he fails a second drug test. And this was supposed to be a 7-week program, which just sounds like that's
a lot.
That's good. Almost intense. 2 months.
Yeah.
But he only stayed in for 13 days. 13 days. I mean...
2 months? How about 2 weeks and I'm out of here?
No, less than 2 weeks. He says, quote, I checked myself out because the program was bullshit. They had locked doors like a prison and there was nothing for any of us to do except have group therapy sessions.
Sounds like rehab.
That sounds like rehab to me. I don't know what he wants, but that's...
Give it a run, sir.
That sounds like rehab. Later on, he'll go to one that like a bunch of players go to, and they have like a basketball court, and like it's...
That's why it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
That's why they keep coming back.
That's why it doesn't work. So
you got to be locked down.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. I'm leaving.
Locked down and talk about my fucking problems.
Ah, Jesus, that could lead to solving them. I got to get out of here. I don't want that. He says that's where everybody's supposed to talk about their problems, but all everybody did was blame somebody else for their addiction, their parents, their bosses, and their jobs. Shit. When I said that I did drugs because I like it, they all thought that I was crazy. He's like, I fucking just like it. They're great. Like every other drug rehab center I've ever been in, this one was really all about making money. When someone's insurance ran out, they boot them back to the streets whether they were ready or not.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's what they do.
That's fucked up.
You can't pay for it. That's the old...
run a charge on them. You know what I mean?
The old Sam Kinison joke.
Yeah.
The Betty Ford Center costs $14,000. If I have $14,000, I don't have a fucking coke problem. That's the point.
I don't need you.
Yeah, exactly. So, August of 1983, guess what?
What?
Back in rehab.
Oh, boy.
As you might expect.
Yeah.
This time it's the Hazelden Foundation in Minnesota, and then he comes back, and he goes to Nets training camp,
right.
and everything looks beautiful. It's like Paulie telling Henry to go back to Karen. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be like when you was first married.
Right.
So, yeah. October 4th, 1983, though, he disappears from Nets training camp in Princeton.
Uh-oh.
Just takes off, doesn't show up, and they can't get a hold of him.
Yeah.
He's just gone.
He's in coke dens.
Doesn't pop up again until October 7th. So he's missing for 3 days, and then he comes in, talks to the team, admits he's got a drug problem again. He's doing drugs, and he agrees to enter rehab again. 4 days later, he says he's not going to rehab. He's fine. Changed my mind.
Yeah.
You know what? The last 4 days since I talked to you last, I've been doing coke, and I realized it's a lot of fun.
You know, when I talked to you last, I was sober.
Yeah.
And today I'm high. This isn't a problem.
I kind of like what I'm doing right now.
I feel better.
So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. Feeling good right now. I'm good now. It's fine. So the Nets waive him.
Oh.
You say, fine, we waive you then. This is a great player.
Yeah.
He actually clears waivers. So the Nets can keep him if they want him. But he's, there. So October 14th, 1983, this is after they waive him and he clears waivers.
Yeah.
I think that's a wake-up call that this team doesn't want you and no one else wants you either.
Nobody.
That's how much of a disaster you are. He finally says, okay, fine, I'll go back to rehab. October 14th.
Yeah.
So it took 3 days for all that to happen, then he's ready to go again. So he's had a crazy week. The last week, he disappeared, came back, admitted it, said he needed help. Then he said he was fine, then he needs help again. And he was waived and went through waivers and cleared it all in 1 week.
Jeez.
It's a busy fucking week.
And that's to show you what your worth is. That's got to sting, man.
I think that's what it was, too.
I think I'm worth this. And then it goes all the way through, and then you go, I'm worth nothing.
Yep, I think they said, we'll show you exactly what this is about. Because he probably said, trade me. And they went, tell you what, we'll waive you.
Right.
No one claimed you.
Right.
Well, no one's going to give us anything for you. They won't take you for
Nobody
nothing.
Wants you.
Yeah,
we'll show you.
They won't take you for the waiver
we'll give
cost.
You free.
Yeah. Fucking crazy. So this is at Regent Hospital in Manhattan. He goes there. And this final treatment here was during the amnesty period. This is when the NBA was building their drug policy. It kicks in right at the end of 1983, where they have the strikes and then you're banned after a certain amount of time. So people kind of got grandfathered in. But because he didn't come forward with his problem, they had to catch him. This is considered his first offense by the league. So he's got a strike now. And he was the one, by the way, a couple months later, after the agreement was signed, for with the players about the drug policy, that he was the one who was urging players to seek help.
Really?
He came out for that. He said, quote, rules won't do it. It's an illness and only the player can cure it. The big problem is that people who are on drugs are ashamed to admit it. They have this terrible fear of getting up in the morning and seeing a newspaper headline and so on and so on. So, yeah. That's true. So November 1st, 1983, checks out of rehab. So he's only in there for 2.5 weeks.
Amount of time.
And December 21st, 1983, he has to be at this point drug tested 3 times a week by the team. So December 21st, 83, they reinstate him. They think he's okay. He's fine now. They arrange also at this point for a local psychiatrist, a guy named Dr. Russell Furstendig, to conduct Richardson's outpatient program. Now, he was very enthusiastic. He said, quote, great, the shrink was going to help me stay straight, right?
No.
Okay, well, let's see here.
That's your job, motherfucker.
Yeah, now this is his claims, and this doctor ended up in prison, I believe, too, so
really?
Could be true. He says he was optimistic, and then his preliminary interview with this doctor, he said it was disturbing. Micheal says, quote, the first thing he does is to give me $100. Then he tells me to go into New York right away and buy the same stuff that I was using.
What?
He said he was going to test the drugs on himself in order to get a full understanding of what was going on.
What?
Yeah, UB Brown didn't do that.
No.
He went to like a drug counselor and asked. This guy's like, go get me a bunch of cocaine. I'd like to see how you feel. I'd like to be drooling high with a... Can you bring 3 or 4 girls with you?
And then we'll talk.
Yeah. So he said, he had a full understanding of what was going on. Micheal says, quote, what the fuck? But even if that's what he wanted, who was I to tell him no? So I went and got the drugs and brought them back to him. What's he going to do? As long as he was buying drugs again, he decided that he might as well get some for himself. Yeah. going to a drug dealer is a fucking completely different goddamn thing here. So the next day, he's supposed to start his first official session. That was a preliminary getting to know you. First session the next day, and Michael says, quote, he came in for it at the session. He says, quote, the guy was sitting in his chair wearing the same clothes as the day before and stoned out like a zombie.
Sounds like that guy became a doctor just to get high.
To get free coke. Get people that can get him coke.
Where do you get coke?
I don't know where to get it.
I know how to do it.
I'm going to counsel drug dealers. Where do you get coke? Where would you find such a thing?
Go get coke.
So he said he was stoned out. Bring it here. Stoned out like a zombie. Unfucking believable. Even so, I was anxious to stay with the program. So we did our fucked up therapy sessions a few times. Then 2 weeks later, for first standing, the doctor got busted buying drugs in Greenwich Village. He's just not great. Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's awesome.
So they gave him another psychiatrist. Yeah. How about this one?
Yeah, maybe this guy's not a crackhead.
He's not a crackhead. But Michael says, quote, but it was already too late because even after I returned to the Nets, I started dipping and dabbing again. This new guy, Dr. X, didn't help matters when he agreed to hide my positive drug tests for a fee of about $200 each. So the Nets think he's perfectly clean, and instead he's actually just paying $200 to fucking... to be able to blow drug tests. So
unbelievable.
That's fucking crazy. So 83-84 season, the Nets are 45-37 here. They actually go to the playoffs. They actually beat the Sixers in the first round and then lose to the Bucks in the second round. But Michael sets an NBA playoff record for a 5-game series with 21 steals versus Philly.
Really?
In 5 games. That's fucking awesome.
I'll bet that stands today, right?
I don't know anyone who's got 20. Maybe.
In
that's
a 5-game series.
5-game series, 21 steals.
That's 4 steals a game.
In a playoff series, too. When things are tight, like, you got to play some D.
That's got to stand today. Well,
that's wild.
I don't think they even have 5-game series anymore, right?
Didn't they switch the first round to 7 now?
I think it's all 7.
I like the 5 better than the first round.
First round should
it's
be
nice
5.
and quick.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Get it over with.
There's fucking teams that are under 500 in these games.
Right.
That team is the 8 seed playing a 1 seed who's 62 wins. Why are they playing 7 games? 5 is plenty.
This isn't going to be close.
Yeah, if you wanted to play 7, you should have been better and made it to the next round. So this sets up that, and then he's on the Nets now. This is where Otis Birdsong comes in, and Daryl Dawkins becomes his buddy as well.
Really?
Yeah, Daryl Dawkins is hilarious.
Was he a cokehead?
We'll talk about it. He did some stuff. He said he was from the planet Lovetron, if that helps any.
He's probably doing a little bit of this with
he
that.
Was awesome. Daryl Dawkins is awesome.
One of the best players ever, too.
Man.
He was so good.
Mike Jaminski on this team. Big fucking bearded white guy there. And, Buck Williams was on this team. And a guy who I'd never heard of, honestly, named Foots Walker. Foots. Okay.
That better be a nickname
Foots.
From somebody dumb.
Foots Walker. So he goes
I really hope his mom did not name him Foots.
He's got 2 of them.
God damn it.
So 83-84 has kind of a rough year here, and we know because he's doing coke like crazy this year. 48 games he's playing, only starts 25, 12 points a game, 3.6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 2.1 steals. So all of his numbers are pretty much career lows this year, besides his rookie season, of course. So not great, not wonderful. But the next year, 84-85 is a different thing completely. 84-85, the Knicks are 42-40. On Christmas Day in 84, they play Bernard King, who's gone from he's on the Knicks here. They play the Knicks, who he always has always wants to beat the Knicks.
Right.
This is the night he scores 36, Michael Ray,
really?
And Bernard King scores 60. So between the two of them, they put on a fucking clinic out there. I'd love to see that game.
Between the two of these
I'd love to watch that game.
My God.
That'd be a great game. But that's a big famous performance, that 60-point Bernard King performance there. And it was poor Michael at 36, but it was just overshadowed by a guy having 60. So December 26th, the next day, there's a fluff piece coming out about him, of course. And I love the headline here. Big letters. Richardson winning battle with drugs. Others still struggling. Everybody else is in the shit, but he's doing great. They said he's fighting a day-to-day battle, but he appears to be winning. And they go into, other players who are losing, John Lucas and guys like that. And he says, I have to battle myself every day, is what Michael says. Now, the executive vice president of the Nets says, Michael's gone through it all. He's been to the bottom of the pit. He's aware of his problem and what he has to do. The best we can do for him is to let him know that we care about him. He said, every day is a nervous one for me about Richardson. He says, I'm always concerned for Michael. I hope so much that he makes it, because I look like a dick if he doesn't.
I need him.
That, and he also, at the same time, he participates in an NBA anti-drug video called Cocaine Drain. And according to net officials, passed every one of his drug tests mandated by his contract. Or he had $200. Right. One of the two. But, he's doing coke like crazy, doing videos, having fluff pieces written about him in the fucking paper. Who wrote that shit?
What is he?
It's an AP article, Associated Press.
Freebasing, looking in the camera and going, this shit's terrible.
Don't do this shit. See this shit right here? Don't do it. He ducks out of it. He ducks out of frame for a second.
This stuff is terrible.
I'm telling you, man, this shit is fucking bad. Just take it from me, okay? And if you have it, if you find it, kids, if you find it, your parents have some in the house, don't throw it out, because then a baby could get it. Here's my call me.
Send it to me.
I'll come pick it up.
Dispose of it properly.
Personally. And I'll dispose of it in a correct location. In a receptacle. That means. So they lose. They get swept by Detroit in the playoffs that year. Mm-hmm. But this year, he's an all-star again. He has his best season this year. 20.1 points a game. Broke the 20-point barrier. 8.2 assists, which is great. 3 steals a game. Leads the league in steals again. 5.6 rebounds. He's fucking killing it. Yeah. He wins NBA Comeback Player of the Year.
What?
And he's an all-star.
Yeah.
So, top of the world. I mean, from the depths of nobody wants you, the clear waivers to a year later, he is
one of the best
in the league.
And he's high.
This is the time when Larry Bird calls him the best basketball player on the planet.
Wow.
In this season, he said he's the best. He's just all around the best player there is. He's doing wonderfully. He says at the end of this year, quote, I'll be playing basketball until the day they kick me out. That's his quote.
Yeah.
Very prescient.
Wonder how close that's coming.
Pretty soon here. 85-86 season here. November 10th, 1985. He misses the team flight to San Antonio.
Really?
But nothing crazy's happened. But this is like the very beginning of the season. He arrives just before game time the next day, which is not good.
No.
They don't like that. They tend to like to know who's available to play.
Yeah.
He says it was car troubles and personal problems. Which one of your cars?
Right.
Did your Mercedes break down?
Yeah.
Do you not have AAA? I think you do. Probably.
I woke up from a drug stupor, tried to start the car. It didn't start, so I did more drugs.
You know how that goes. Did more drugs, fought with my wife for a while.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it when I do that. So
did drugs, fought about drugs.
This is holiday season 85. The next month and a half goes by. Nothing, no problems. Doesn't get suspended or anything like that. But then December 27th, 1985 comes around.
2 days after Christmas.
2 days after Christmas, and he's in the second season of a 4-year, $3 million contract that he just signed, which is amazing. They just had a baby boy with his wife, so he's got 2 kids. When they had the baby, he gave her a brand new silver Mercedes-Benz convertible as a baby present.
Right.
He was 4-time All-Star. They're looking at him like he's, got the Hall of Fame coming up here. And this is when Larry Bird said he's the best basketball player on the planet. He says that he learned his lesson. He's telling everybody that he's cured of cocaine addiction. He's cured. He's doing videos, all that. He says to a reporter that he's, quote, cleaner than Mr. Clean and playing the best basketball of my career. Mm-hmm. Everything's going so fucking well. So what does he do? He disappears for 3 days. And misses 2 practices and a game.
Oh, that's not good.
You can't miss a game
no.
Unless you have aggressively nasty anal warts, which we've talked about. But at least he called in ahead of time and told them about it.
Or you won't get on a plane because I ain't getting in no time machine.
I ain't getting in no time machine. Those are 2 different people, but they should be the one person.
They should be.
So that'd be I'd love to Voltron.
Put them all together.
Yeah.
Their worst quotes or best quotes.
Get like 8 or 9 of our best crime and sports people that have
Just
crazy
piece them all
quotes.
together.
Dotzik in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The crimes of Bruno.
Yeah, exactly. So where the fuck was he?
Where was he?
For 3 days. Well, they were at a Christmas party thrown by the owner of the Nets.
Oh, that's a long Christmas party.
They're at a party on the 27th, and apparently there's a holiday party, and it's him and the players. He's hanging out with Daryl Dawkins, and he's hanging out with a rookie.
Yeah.
And they kind of they overhear the Nets player tell a secretary who is going home to make sure to take this route and not this route because this is a bad neighborhood. And if you get stopped at a light, just gun it through the light. You're going to get mugged. These people are animals. He heard him saying shit like that.
Yeah.
So this pissed off the players.
Oh.
Because they were like, yeah, what do you mean? The fucking black neighborhood, you mean?
Oh, okay.
So they were pissed off that he was like, just don't go through there. These people are animals. So they were like, let's get the fuck out of this party. This isn't our scene, which, I don't blame them. By the way, they were talking about Isaiah Thomas and what an asshole he was before they left. Daryl Dawkins says, quote, if you're driving down the lane and he's right there, that little shit'll step on your plant foot. Something the three blind mice never see, meaning the refs. Something that can fuck up your knee and end your career in a hurry. So when you get a chance to foul the fucker, lay the wood to him. No matter how hard you hit him, they can only give you one foul. Yes.
It's true.
That's the truth. And, Michael Richardson said, make him pick his black ass off the floor and hit 2 free throws was his response to that.
Get the black part in there.
Well, he really wants to
just drive home the point.
Yeah, he is black,
How
even though
he is.
That's it. Even though he's not.
He's not.
According to him. And blacker than me. So anyway, eventually they decide that Dawkins and this rookie guy are going to go out and do something else. They're going to go to a bar. They're going to get out of this scene. Now, Michael claims he said he was going to go home. He's like, no, I'm going to go home and hang out with the family. And they said, come out for a couple of drinks. They said, where are you going? Dawkins said that, quote, the sports bar at the Sheraton. Mm-hmm. It's not a place where you'd go if you're
a place to hang out.
No. Then he turned to Richardson and said, you coming, sugar? And he said, no, I'm going straight home. He said that his wife just had a baby and his sister had just flown in from Denver. And, it's the holidays.
I've got a drug problem.
You know how that goes. So he said after that, quote, it was snowing like we were at the North Pole. So that was just cocaine.
Yeah. And it reminded me of better days.
He said, so I was in kind of a hurry to get home, but on the way there, I had to pass the hotel anyway. So I thought, what the hell? I just stopped by for a few minutes.
It's on the way.
It's on the way. It's just say hi. Quote, it was one of the worst decisions I've ever made. Yep.
Yeah.
It had a mirrored snack bar, several wall, and this was the sports bar here, pillar-mounted TV sets, sports are on, highlights, all that kind of shit.
That's a sports bar.
Big space for dancing, a separated bar from a small dining room, like every other sports bar. Right. But the thing about this sports bar that they loved the most was that it had a shitload of young women there hanging out because they knew players hung out there. So it's, it's how it goes. So, they like to go where the players are. Players like to go where they are. It's pretty
works out well.
Mutually beneficial here. So they said that they were, doing all of this. Now Dawkins says that he loves to womanize. Basically, he's saying you get lonely on the road. You're looking for girls. He said, quote, you get lonely, and then he says, quote, then you cast about for redheads with her titties up. Or big-ass blondes, or skinny brunettes, or sisters with this or that. So it's loneliness that leads to lust. With her titties up.
I got a craving for a redhead with her titties up.
I don't know why. That's, just I'm in the mood for this tonight.
Not the one with her titties down.
No, up. Perky. So Dawkins said, quote, then, now, and forever, the NBA's pussy heaven is Salt Lake City. That's one of the main reasons. I've heard this from everybody.
Really?
Athletes have said this throughout the years. That's one of the main reasons why blacks want to play with the Utah Jazz. The second best pussy capital is Atlanta, with New Orleans a close third. By far the worst place to get laid is New York City, only because the girls there can't be trusted. They're a little too worldly. Yeah. They're not just happy with, there's plenty of celebrities. They want something out of you, he's saying. Whereas if you go to Salt Lake City, they're so fucking repressed there, and you're so different. You are going to plow through everything.
Well, how the fuck would he know what's in New Orleans?
The snow.
When if the Jazz was in Utah by then, there was no fucking team in New Orleans. What's he going down there for?
He was probably there for that.
Oh, maybe?
Yeah, because he was around. Dawkins was around for years.
Oh, yeah.
This was Daryl Dawkins, not Richardson, talking about that. And, So Michael says of the sports bar, quote, this is the story, Quote, it was a real hot spot. A lot of the guys would go there after games, and it was also a favorite after-practice destination for the New York Giants.
Oh.
So this is,
So you got the Knicks and the Giants there?
Yes.
You can fuck anybody?
So you're going to have young women hanging out there. So the single on the Make Women knew where the rich athletes would be. Normally, though, I stayed away from there. He said once he gets in the sports bar, he said he did some dancing, signed a couple autographs, and he threw down some bourbon shots. Okay. By the way, through all his rehab, he drinks like a fish.
Oh,
It's
sure.
not, back then, they didn't even think there was a difference. Some people can do that. He said, quote, that was the start of it all. I was feeling good, real good. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dawkins, he said, had a date with a beautiful light-skinned girl to do some hot and heavy mattress bouncing. That's how he put it in the book there. But Sugar didn't give a shit. He was drinking, having a good time, dancing, and all that shit. Dawkins knew that Richardson wasn't supposed to be out drinking because of the whole drug thing. He's supposed to be clean as shit. But he seemed to be under control, just having a drink. And so he's like, all right, well, I'm not going to go up and play fucking babysitter to the guy. Right. He wants to have a drink. He's an adult. Looks like he's not tearing the place up or anything. So what the fuck? So he does that. So Dawkins went over and said that he went over to the rookie they were hanging out with and said that he was taking the girl and going.
We're going to do some mattress bouncing.
Said, tell you what, keep an eye on Sugar for me.
Yep.
And he said, no problem.
Yeah.
So after a few drinks, they said a good-looking blonde approaches Richardson.
Uh-oh.
He'd seen her there a couple of times, he said, but they'd never spoken or anything like that. But now she's coming on to him. And anyway, she said she'd fuck him like he'd never been fucked before.
That's
was the come on. So
shooting a shot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
That's a tough one there.
That's a good one.
So
it's a hell of a challenge.
He says, in his words, as far as I was concerned, pussy was pussy. He didn't care about what the chick was. He said didn't care about race of anybody. He liked women. He said, though, he didn't like white people he didn't like, but women he didn't really care about. Was basically what it was here. So he said that this made him have a certain relish in fucking white chicks because they would have nothing to do with him back then. So now he's like, now you like me because I'm famous.
Very Richard Pryor-esque.
Yeah, he says also, unlike this is his thing, he said that no white chick ever called him the N-word. He goes, I know they always were nice to me, so he said, fine, that's cool. I guess white chicks are okay. Those guys have said it to me, but never been called that by a woman, so
But
cool.
I assume that's probably a turnoff, and if she wants to have sex with you,
you're
probably not going to fuck her.
You're not going to get that, yeah, no. Well, if
walk up to a woman and call her a cunt and
I'll tell you this, he's still alive today, so there's plenty of white women that would be willing to call him that, I'm sure, if he just goes basically anywhere out of your house nowadays. He'll find a white woman willing to point a gun at him while calling him that, I'm sure. So, he was also, he said his wife at the time was having some postpartum depression. So instead of going home and being there for her, he says that she was super sensitive and didn't want to go near him and all this shit. So he says, what the fuck, basically? Like, what am I doing? Right. Monogamy isn't my thing anyway. Let's get it on.
I'm a crackhead. What does she expect?
That's what I mean. So the rookie, he says, quote, I turned away from Sugar for about a minute, right? And when I turned back, he was gone. I ran outside just in time to see him drive off with some white girl in a gold-colored Mercedes. It was snowing like crazy, but he had the top down, and nobody saw him for another 3 or 4 days. What the fuck are you doing?
Amazing. I don't know. The last time I saw him, he was driving through a blizzard
with the top down. Snorting coke off a white woman's titty. I don't know. In public. I'm not sure.
That's amazing.
So this is pretty fucking amazing here. Sugar says, quote, she was a businesswoman. She was attracted to me and was just out for a good time. I never did find out what her name was, and I can't even exactly remember what she looked like.
Wow.
That's how fucked up they got. He said they drove to her apartment, what he called a nice, classy place. Then she pulled out a bag out of a drawer in the bedroom, tons of coke. Coke to smoke. She had shit cooked up already to smoke. Coke to snort, everything. He said that he figured he could handle just a little sniff so then he could really have some fun with this woman, right?
Yeah.
And he said, quote, but I was wrong as that happened.
And I did a 3-4 day coke binge.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
well, he said that the first round was great of sex. Right. He said, quote, we were banging away and howling with pleasure.
Gross.
He sounds like Danny DeVito in Always Sunny. So we were banging away and howling with pleasure, right? I told Charlie he had to leave the room. No? So he says, but the second dose wasn't as good as the first, and every hit from then on had less and less effect. Yeah, drugs. That works with everything. Don't drink for a month and then have 2 beers. You'll be like, hey, I'm buzzed.
Holy shit,
I'm
this
feeling this is pretty cool.
Right.
And then drink for a week and you're like, 2 beers doesn't do shit. So that's called tolerance. So he said that, that wasn't as good. He said, still, a druggie winds up chasing a ghost, doing it just to do it. And we were still, oh my God, and we were still heavy into our fuckathon.
That's a good phrase.
This guy is great.
A fuckathon.
A fuckathon. So he said the coke.
I don't think I've ever had a fuckathon.
A fuckathon?
No.
Let's do some coke, get back into it. That's wild. Yeah, not like this, I don't think. I don't think you've had a fuckathon like this. No. This is like... Wow, they need like an IV and then they do more coke
to do coke
and then get back into it again.
That's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. He says that he didn't even realize the time was passing because he was doing so much coke.
I mean, yeah, when you're having fun.
Yes. The only things that mattered were the drugs, the sex, and the paranoia. The fucking paranoia got worse and worse because I knew I shouldn't be doing what I was doing. But man, I was so motherfucking high, so wrapped up in the drugs. So he's, Jesus, what a fucking mess.
Isn't it a disaster? Isn't it fucking unbelievable how much sex absolute messes have? I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
People that have their lives together don't fuck like this.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
I know. It's sad, isn't it? It's a strange. Yeah, it's very depressing.
It makes you want to get a coke addiction.
You have to be a lunatic.
Yeah.
And this is when women will let you in on a secret out there.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Certain guys like a certain type of crazy chick for the reason of
the sex is amazing.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, but they've noticed it. Is what I mean. It's a thing. Just making you aware of it, so you know what we're thinking.
Out there.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. So, meanwhile, he said the TV in the hotel or in her apartment was always on, never off, just always on in the background. And he says, quote, but it was just background stuff that we didn't pay attention to. Looking without seeing, hearing without listening. But then on the third day of just coke and fucking.
Looking without seeing.
Hearing without listening. Just background.
What a fucking quote.
He's a quote machine.
That's beautiful.
This guy.
That's just beautiful.
He's a fucking poet. He says, but then on the third day, which is insane, I couldn't help noticing my own picture on the screen and a voiceover that said Michael Ray Richardson was missing.
No, I'm not. I'm right here.
They said it was feared I'd been kidnapped and I might even be dead.
Whoa.
So I shouted at the TV, hey, motherfucker, I ain't missing. I'm right here. Which is helpful. Hey, motherfucker.
Nah, Ted Koppel, I'm fine.
I ain't missing Dan Rather, you punk bitch. I'm right here. Jesus Christ. He said that's when he kind of snapped into reality of I've been gone for days. Holy shit. I missed 2 practices and an entire game, which you cannot do.
How's his dick not waterlogged at this point?
Fucking just pruned up and fucking raw.
Like it's been in a bathtub.
Layers of skin are going to peel off of this fucking thing.
Sloughing by now.
like he was burned with hot oil. It's going to fall off of him.
If he wasn't circumcised, he is now.
That's right. It was raw. He burned it right off. Smoke was coming off of that thing. And the poor woman, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Christ.
I guess the coke will numb it. So, he says he didn't know what to do, so what he does is, trying to cover his own ass, he calls the Nets and said, I just escaped from the kidnappers. That's what he said. Literally, I was kidnapped. I just escaped from the kidnappers. I'm going home right now.
Ted Koppel's right.
He's right. That's it. So that's fucking amazing. And his mom says, quote, during Christmas, I thought it would happen again when they couldn't find him. I said to myself, Michael Ray is on that stuff again, which sounds like an old woman. That's heartbreaking as shit. So his only contact for this time was a couple of telephone calls to his wife and his sister, because his sister was in town from Denver. Right. So he was called home, and his wife and sister were there. And both of them urged him to, not do this and come home. And so finally he contacted the team and said, I got escaped from the kidnappers. Right. And then a couple hours later, he was like, I was on a coke binge. Yeah. So that's what happened. No, because then you realize then you'd have to go to the cops and like give a description and make up a whole story. Right. That's a lot of work. Just say you did coke.
His sister and his wife heard the screams of passion from his kidnapper.
So, oh, God, my pussy hurts. It's been 3 days. So December 31st, 1985, New Year's Eve, he is suspended without pay as a second-time drug user here. He's then sent to the league's drug rehab center in California. This is the one where they play basketball at and all the guys go to.
It's great.
Yeah, it sounds. They all say it's just great.
It's awesome.
Because the one guy they were talking to is like, it's one of those places where it's like, it's kind of shitty because some of the places you just can't do anything. Here you can talk and you can go around and play basketball and stuff, and you can't do stuff like go shopping like you want to do, but it's still, it's
great
good though. Yeah, it's a vacation is what it is. It's a fucking resort that happens to be kind of away from other stuff. That's all it is. So he goes there, 3 weeks of treatment. He returns home January 17th, and 3 days later, he joins the Nets again. Okay. So while he's in there, though, the Larry Doby, who's the Nets director of community relations, and is that Larry Doby, the baseball player?
I don't know.
Like the second black player ever to play.
Is it?
Like Larry Doby was the first black player in the American League. Mm-hmm. He followed Jackie Robinson by like 3 fucking weeks. Yeah. Went through the same shit and got none of the credit. And he's a great player.
Right.
And he played for the Newark Eagles before that, the Negro League team. And that's, by the way, completely in context. There's really nothing else you can call the league because that's what it's called. But he played for the Newark Eagles there, so I'm wondering if he worked for the Nets later on. Different guy?
It's different. Is it D-O-B-Y?
D-O-B-Y.
Wow, it's the same spelling and everything.
Wow,
and it shows
interesting.
Nothing about what year was that?
It's 86.
Well, he was
director of community relations for the Nets. I don't know if he was getting into stuff after that.
Guy.
I don't know. I have to look into that.
He died in fucking 2003, so I don't know if it's the same guy.
So anyway, he had a great quote. He said, Michael Ray Richardson is not a problem child. He's a child with a problem. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty good goddamn quote here. Yeah. One of Doby's jobs was to keep an eye on Richardson, and he was doing a good job right up until he disappeared.
Oh my God, James, it's the same guy.
Motherfucker, Larry, I knew it because he played for Newark, so I thought maybe he had a Jersey connection.
After
that makes
retiring
sense.
from baseball, Doby was named director of communications for the National Basketball Association's New York Nets. That is crazy.
And then they moved to Jersey.
For 9 years he did that shit.
Yep. Okay. I'm glad it's him. Good for him, man.
That's amazing. Good for him, for sure.
Fuck yeah, he did a lot after that too. Doby had a great life, a very interesting career in life.
Fascinating man.
Fascinating, and just never got the credit he deserved.
No,
he's a great player too. He wasn't just there; he was a great player.
Wow.
It's a fucking shame, man.
There's going to be a stamp. There is one.
I have a Newark Eagles hat because he played on their team.
There are only 4 players from the MLBs that are getting stamps. It is Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Willie Stargell, and Mr. Doby. That's why.
Really, I would probably replace Stargell with Willie Mays.
Maybe,
and I'd be happy.
Yeah,
that'd be good. But otherwise, that's a decent fucking list.
Bad.
That's not bad.
And Larry Doby gets one. Well,
I love Willie Stargell.
Yeah,
but.
I guess he got kind of a payback for. He had to put up with so much.
He had to put up with so much shit. And they didn't make a million movies about him. And there's no Larry Doby Day.
Right?
Does everybody wear 42? Everybody wear his number anytime?
I'll bet Larry Doby would rather have had eggs thrown at him than whatever the fuck else he had probably thrown at him.
Oh God, yeah, he would rather be Michael Ray Richardson. Yeah, he went through a lot of shit. Larry Doby.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's him.
That's him. Good deal. I'm happy to do it. Yeah. Happy to find out. So he says, to be honest, this is one Nets player under anonymity here. Mm-hmm. He says, to be honest, I figured it would happen sooner or later. He says, it seems like nobody ever makes it. Just look at John Lucas and John Drew, both of which will have episodes. Look at football players and basketball players. There's always a slip or a fall. It's almost like heart disease or cancer. It's a disease and there's no cure for it. You can arrest it, but it always seems to come back. You can't arrest a disease.
No.
So, the Nets coach here, this is Dave Wall, this is his first year. He said things were going so well for him, I can't really understand why he did that. Well, yeah, because you're not a cokehead. Right. But if you've never been addicted to it, you can't understand the gravitational pull it must have. It would be nice to still have him here, but this thing is affecting someone's life. It's life or death in a way. It's far more important for him just to get healthy and for him to think good for himself and than to have him make a jump shot. So there's that. His mom said, quote, he came home in January. This is Luddy. And before he got ready to leave, I said to him, Michael Ray, you won't talk to me about it, but you can't fool me, baby. If you're doing it, please stop. Well, he turned around, grabbed me, hugged me, and said, Mama, I don't mess with that dope. And I said, you remember this. I still love you just because you're you. So his mom tried to put him on the path, but once he's out there in the cars and the women and the coke, it's a little different.
When mom's not around.
Yeah, I bet if mom was there the whole time, he'd never do coke and
Probably.
have 3-day fuckathons, I'm sure.
With a white woman he doesn't know who she is.
With the top down. She'd at least tell him, put the top up, goddammit. Backhand him and shit.
All this snow in here.
Stupid son of a bitch. So February 10th, 1986, he calls in sick to the NBA.
You can't do that.
To a team practice and a doctor's appointment that he had that day, too.
You can't call in sick to your doctor's appointment.
As a team doctor.
That's where you got to show up.
So the league ordered him to be tested to see if his disappearance was because of drugs, but the tests were negative. Mm-hmm. They do come back negative here. February 20th, 1986, he misses 2 shots in the final 34 seconds of a loss to the Bulls.
Oh.
So not good. He's not feeling good. Several hours later, he arrives at a place where he shouldn't be. He arrives at the 2-story townhouse where his wife lives, and now they're separated, and she's got a restraining order on him.
Oh, you can't do that.
He shows up at the townhouse to have a fight with her there. He doesn't reside there. This is his wife, Leah. This is his second wife. He's got a new life here. She's got a court order barring him from the residence. It's in Mahwah. I don't know what that one is. New Jersey. And he used to live there. So this is 1 a.m. in the morning of February 20th. He ends up trying banging on the door, and when she won't let him in, he breaks glass and breaks into the house.
Can't do that either.
Which you can't do, and they get in a huge fucking argument, obviously, and she calls the police, and the police come, and Richardson said that he was unaware of the restraining order, which they serve you with that, so you're aware of it. You knew about that. And and immediately after his release, the NBA mandated a drug test because they released him from jail that night, and he failed his drug test. She telephoned police, the wife, at 12:49 a.m., said he broke in, broke a pane of glass to get entry, and he is charged with criminal mischief as well as some other shit here. At some point, this big argument broke out, and they took him to headquarters, issued a summons, and released him. So, he's under arrest under the Domestic Violence Act, and he's released. He arrives at practice later the next day with a minor cut on his left hand, and he can't participate in drills. And the police said they didn't believe the cut was arrest-related. They didn't cut him, they said. Right. We didn't fucking cut him. He says, quote, we do know he was brought in here and he was arrested, and it had to do with a domestic dispute. But if he had a cut, we would have never kept him here. I assume the cut came from the glass he broke, so they probably just ignored that, it seems like. They would have brought him there because it sounds like he did.
Yeah.
Unless he found a way to cut himself in jail, which would be...
Or on his way out.
I don't know. I would say if you've been around for a day and one of your activities were breaking a pane of glass to break in a house and you have a cut, odds are that's where it came from.
It's usually through a punch.
Yeah, something there. So apparently Richardson was very, quote, very angry at his wife, according to the police. They said that he did not strike her, that he made a verbal threat and raised his hand like he was going to strike her. Said, I will hit you and doing this shit, but he didn't actually hit her. So the reports said that he went to the residence to retrieve his Mercedes after his wife switched cars in the Meadowlands parking lot during Wednesday's game.
Oh, that's shitty.
So he came out and his car was gone. She switched cars with him.
This shitty silver one there.
Yeah, and he said the police said there was nothing in our report about the cars. They didn't bring that up to the police officers. So it's assault, criminal mischief, and disorderly conduct stemming from this. And he maintains he was cut while washing dishes. So some sometime from being released from jail to going to practice, he decided to do the dishes. Okay. Yeah. He says, quote, nothing happened. I have no comment when they asked him about it. So there's that. They asked the Nets director of media relations, whose hair is turning silver by the moment. He says, quote, we have no comment on his personal life. Not my problem.
It's not our shit.
Silver, son of a bitches. So, he gets charged. Michael Ray's sister here, Anita, says, quote, when I read about his arrest, I thought, what are we dealing with? How far have drugs taken him? What kind of a monster is this? Michael was never in trouble with the law. Right. Well, February 26th, 1986, the NBA bans him from the league.
Oh, no.
This is technically a banning for life.
Is this the first guy to get it?
It was, I think Drew got it before him. I think he's the second guy, or maybe Lucas, one of the two. But he is banned for life, which you can apply for reinstatement after 2 years. But you're technically banned for life. I think it's just because it sounds good.
Yeah.
He's banned for life.
Pretty rad.
Yeah.
I've never been banned from anything like that.
Not for life.
No.
That's pretty
Sears,
cool.
But
yeah. Well, you could probably go back now if you could find one.
I bought a fridge from them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So David Stern made an announcement saying that he's the commissioner, by the way, if you don't know. He received the results of the test and has to ban him. He said, quote, it's a tragic day for Michael Ray Richardson, nothing less than the destruction by cocaine of a once flourishing career. Mm-hmm. Yep, he can be appealed in 2 years, like I said. His agent, Charles Grantham, at the time, he's also the executive vice president of the Players Union. He says that Michael denies using drugs.
Really?
He says, quote, Michael said the tests were incorrect.
Okay.
What was that NASCAR guy that did?
Come on, man. Jeremy Mayfield. Yeah.
Come on,
tested him
man.
like 3 times in 2 days. He says Sugar says he's clean and that he didn't use drugs. Okay. Yeah.
You gonna start selling scrap metal now, bro?
That's what I'm saying, man. He said that it is, quote, it's not within the realm of impossibility that the first tests were wrong. We'd like to have them verified. Too many things are inconclusive. Now, according to David Stern, it was 2 separate tests and they both came up positive.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty conclusive.
Yeah.
So, the league's director of security, they all assigned, they had a drug counselor assigned to Richardson and all this type of shit. He's supposed to go for adult substance abuse program in California. So, he ends up leaving for 10:30 in the morning that day to go to rehab. Mm-hmm. The owner of the team said he was upset and stunned. He kept repeating, it's not so. Okay. Well, there's that. Now, he said Stern said the Nets had been paying all the rehab costs since 1983, and they offered to continue to keep paying for them. Yeah. Louis Schaffel, the vice president, said, speaking for the organization, we're saddened. It's a very, very sad day. He's a person we feel very much a part of. He's a human being. We want to do whatever is possible to support him, even if he can't play for the team. We'll pay for counseling, for rehabilitation, simply because he's not playing. We haven't forgotten about him. That's nice. Mm-hmm. I mean, but, it's kind of what Vince McMahon does. Just keep sending him to rehab with no
follow-up and plan to stay on the path.
So, he said, we tried to do anything and everything over the last 3 years to help. We paid 4 different rehabilitations at the best substance abuse centers in the country. We tried to find the best counselors, psychiatrists. That didn't work out. We consulted experts. We tried everything to help him through this problem. It's always going to be said that we could have done more, but I don't know what more. We're not professionals. We don't have all the answers, but we tried.
You're not, but it's your job to find them.
I mean, I guess so. He ends up playing 47 games that year, 15.7 points a game, 7.2 assists, 2.7 steals, 5.3 rebounds.
He plays great.
Playing great. He'll never play in the NBA again.
That's it.
That's it for his career. Totally done. It's fucking sad as shit.
How much coke money did he make?
Oh my God. Well, we don't know because the beginning of his contract was, it seems like it's about $5 million ish, which is still a shitload of money.
To put away in coke.
You can piss that away real quick. His agent said, quote, Michael Ray is not a unique case. Here's a kid who right out of college was chased by agents, probably offered large sums of money by them, is approached by people with drugs to give him, and really just finds himself in a different world. This isn't an excuse. Michael Ray did this to himself. But when you look at it, I see a lot of potential Michael Ray Richardsons out there, not just in the pros now, but guys in college and high school. Yeah. He said it's obviously clear that Michael Ray has an illness. This may be the first time he can spend some time singly and fully working out his problem. There won't be basketball to go back to during his treatment. If he can get his personal life back in control, then maybe we'll think about continuing his basketball career, maybe in Europe, but we just have to get his life in order. Then he says he's going to struggle financially. He won't be able to live like he's been, but losing material things and money at a time when your life is falling apart and you're trying to put it back together becomes pretty insignificant. If Michael Ray doesn't play basketball at all for 2 years, it will be terminal to his career. However, I have no doubt in my mind that Michael Ray can play the game. So he's going to be poor. So here is some stuff that his mom says on March 5th, 1986, while he's still in rehab. This is in the Austin American-Statesman newspaper. She says, I want him to go to a hospital and stay there, not 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but if it takes a year, then stay a year. Wow, Luddy.
Jesus, Mom.
She said,
can we put him in prison?
Can we just lock him up? What's he going to do back here? If he takes the whole 2 years he's banned, that's okay. I believe if you're hooked on the stuff, 2 or 3 weeks won't do nothing but dry you out. He has to want help. He has to want help. It's out there. Yeah, I would fucking say so. I guess his wife, his wife realized she couldn't abandon him while he was going through this, so they reconciled. His sister says basketball has been his life. Now that he's not playing anymore, there's no telling what he'll do. I don't want to read any more stories about Michael Ray missing. That story's played out. It's happened a lot. Yeah. So yeah, something has happened to Michael Ray over the last 4 years that he hasn't let anybody know about. It's a personal war within himself. Until he can see that, he can't overcome it. He's headed for personal destruction. Yeah, he's living like a fucking lunatic. I mean, he is living crazy right now. I mean, it's crazy, but not as crazy, Jimmy, as the sales.
86?
Oh, the sales, Jimmy. Oh, my goodness. March 5th, 1986. If you happen to be in Austin, Texas, might I invite you down for some sales? Number one, down to the Lamar bookstore where there's an adult video sale.
Hell yeah.
Hey, 1,001 adult videos.
Oh.
Sale, rent, or exchange.
Ugh.
$15.95 each.
God, that's a disgusting
Want to trade
thought.
porn?
This one's real dirty.
It's a filthy one.
Austin, Texas porn. Jesus. That's where the college is. There's so much tugging going on.
I feel like there's just dust clouds around people fucking around there. Just fucking in the dust.
Good Lord.
Head on down to the, where the hell is this? I don't even fucking know.
The bookstore.
Leasing specialist somewhere. I don't know. Lease a fucking car.
Okay.
You can get a Jeep Cherokee for $245 a month. You can get a Mazda 626 for $210 a month. 300ZX for $295 a month.
Hell yeah.
Nice little car. Lincoln Town Car, $335 a month. Holy shit. Porsche 944. $395 a month.
What?
Not bad. Or get a Toyota Tercel for $128 a month. Your pick.
Yeah.
Head on down there. Now that you have this new car.
That's your budget car.
You got your car, either your Porsche or your Tercel.
Whichever you choose.
One of the two. Head on down to Telfair, which is a store where they say you have 3 professional ways to stay in touch. Get yourself a car phone from 1985.
How much was this shit?
Here it is. As you can see it, it comes in a suitcase where it sits atop it. Now,
God damn it, whose idea was that?
It says NEC and Telair team up to bring you the ultimate in car phones. NEC means crisp, clear transmissions every time. Now just $799.
Fuck. Same price.
Same price. Yep.
Same price as an iPhone.
Except much heavier.
Yeah.
The NEC portable cellular phone with 4-hour battery gives you total freedom with no loss in quality. That's a cell phone. The first one was a car phone.
Right.
This is a cell phone. $1,995 for the fucking. It's a suitcase with a phone receiver sitting on top of it. It weighs 30 pounds. $1,995.
Very convenient.
$2,000. Wow.
I just watched Hot to Trot recently.
4 hours of battery.
And Bobcat answers the phone in the car, and he's like, it's got a cord on it and everything, and he's like, I'm in the car!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, that is not impressive, Bobcat.
No. Well, this is even less impressive if you slam your suitcase full of phone on there and be like, hold on, I have 4 hours of battery. Let me make this phone call. It'll cost me $6,000. Jesus Christ.
You better be making $1 million business deal with that
That's
thing
what I mean.
to make that
Otherwise,
phone call
why do you
worth the
need it?
price.
$2,000 and 85
Right.
money, 86 money. That is like, $8,000 today. That's crazy. So, Telair also carries a complete line of tone and digital pagers starting at only $15 per month.
That sounds right.
You need that. And then you can take your car and your car phone and your porn and drive on. You're going to be hungry after all that jerking. So what I say is you head on down to Bill Miller Barbecue.
Oh, boy.
Where is this? Bill Miller Barbecue down on, they have 3 locations. 8103 Burnett Road, 5100 Balcones Wood in 1930. Was that Woman Cannon? I don't know what the fuck that is.
What do you want to bet that's still open?
It probably is.
Yeah.
New evening special, 2 pieces of fried chicken, baked potato, coleslaw, tea, and dessert.
Tea?
Tea. I don't know why.
Sweet tea. Got it.
Tea. Oh, yeah, it's Texas.
Yeah.
$1.95.
Oh, $1.95?
2 pieces of chicken, baked potato, coleslaw, tea, and dessert. $1.95.
That's a deal.
Holy shit.
You're going to be bargain shopping for food when you're paying $2,000 for a phone.
No shit. $1.90. Regular $3.04. It's on sale here. Served in dining room nightly from 5 p.m. to close. Ask for the dinner special through March 9th, all this week. And it says on all around it, all 4 borders of this ad, quote, nobody makes BBQ like Bill Miller.
All right.
So now that you know that, get on down there. Jesus Christ. So Michael says about getting kicked out of the NBA, quote, getting kicked out of the NBA was the lowest point of my life. I was a punk-ass kid from nowhere, so the NBA thought I was expendable. There's a double standard in the league. Believe me, when I got kicked out, all them white druggies threw away their pipes and got clean in a hurry. The NBA got exactly what they wanted. There's no question in my mind that there was a double standard. Okay. If they found positives with Larry Bird and Michael Ray Richardson, they're like, who are we going to make an example of? It ain't going to be Larry.
Who's throwing their pipe out and who's being thrown out of this league? Right.
Exactly. Or who makes it look like we're tough on those druggies. That's what it is there. So, Buck Williams, who's one of his friends there, he says he loves him, though. He said, quote, about Michael, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And I'm not saying that just to sound like I care. If you needed anything from him, he'd give it to you. The last dollar out of his pocket. Maybe he wanted to be liked too much. Maybe he was too nice. If you were one of the lowlives who got him involved with drugs, he wanted you to like him too. I don't care what he's done. I know him and I still love him. Okay. Good for you. June 17th, 1986, he's arrested again. He is charged here with taking $9,748 from the State Farm Insurance Company and depositing the bulk of the money in a bank account he holds with his wife.
Took a settlement?
It was a money that was supposed to be turned over to H&Z Auto Body Service based on repairs to his Mercedes, and instead he took the insurance money and pocketed it and stiffed these fucking guys.
I feel you, man.
So now it's insurance fraud.
Yeah.
So the check had his signature and an H&Z stamp on the back, and H&Z called State Farm to collect its money after not receiving the amount due.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now, July 8th, 86, a few weeks later, he has a busy day here. This is where he gets arrested twice in 24 hours. This is always fun when people get arrested twice in a day. So he first gets arrested here. They find him in a running car, sleeping behind a building.
Yeah.
Just not sleeping, passed out, nodded out.
Yeah,
okay. So they arrest him for that. There. They said he appeared to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. They didn't smell any alcohol. They assumed it was drugs. They said he looked thin and gaunt and not good, basically.
Like a crackhead.
Like he's been smoking crack and passing out in his car.
Right.
So, So what ends up happening is they arrest him, and then he is released from jail, and then once he's released from jail, he's like, I should go to my wife's house and fuck with her, even though I'm not allowed to be there again. So he does. He goes, he ends up, Jesus Christ. First, they take him for being high and sleeping in the car. They take him, instead of to jail, they take him to a detox center at the Bergen Pines Hospital.
Okay.
He escapes there.
Oh, boy.
He just walks out of there.
Yep.
Okay, obviously. So then he leaves, hitchhikes, out of the place, hitchhikes like fucking Bodie in The Wire, escaping jail.
Okay.
He hitchhikes and ends up going all the way to his wife's house again, where he banged on the door. Apparently, she called the cops. They came. He fled on foot.
Oh, no.
So he ran away. Several cop cars followed him. He went through some woods, popped out the other side, ended up hitchhiking another ride away from the cops.
Yep.
And then finally he was turning into a convenience store in a town near there, and they went to a convenience store. He saw the cops come in, so he ran into the woods. And finally, the cops arrested him behind the store in the woods.
Have we ever had anybody whose getaway car was hitchhiking?
Hitchhiking and then their feet in the woods.
Right.
Not good.
That's a bad getaway car.
Yeah. So clearly, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
That's twice in a day. So then he gets brought back, and now he's got leaving the rehab center and going back and violating a restraining order, domestic violence. He's got all this fucking shit. Judge set his bail for $2,500. He says, oh, by the way, law enforcement officers at this point say that he has been, quote, writing bad checks all over Bergen County as well. And was unable to make bail there because he doesn't have $2,500.
He's out of cash.
And he was jailed at the Hackensack facility there. He told officers that, gross. He told officers there that Daryl Dawkins would be going to come bail him out. Eventually he did, apparently, there.
Did he really?
Eventually.
That's awesome.
Daryl Dawkins came. Somebody bailed his ass out. We don't know. They said that Daryl Dawkins didn't arrive that night, but somebody did.
Yeah.
So who the fuck knows? But he gets out, actually.
Okay.
So, Jesus Christ. He ended up giving a Fort Lee, New Jersey motel as his address to the police, by the way.
God damn it.
Told the cops he went to pick up his mother and sister who had arrived from Colorado to see what was wrong with him. That's what he told the cops. And so somehow that ended up, he decided to pull over and take a nap in his car. He was, I don't know. He admitted that he'd continued to use cocaine since his banishment from the NBA. He told the cops that, because when he was arrested, they said, "What are you on?" And he's like, "What do you think I'm on? Have you read the fucking paper? I'm clearly on coke, dude."
I know there's no Google. Read any newspaper that says that I'm banned.
No, yeah, and he was parked behind a realty office too, so they tend to notice that sort of shit at like a realty office.
Right.
So not wonderful there. They saw him. Also, he threatened his wife when he was there and ran away, and we told you about all of that. So he agreed to enter a detox center after that again. For the second time, maybe not walk out this time. So July 26, 1986, just a couple weeks later, domestic violence charges are dismissed against him as the judge dismissed the charges of threatening his wife, and afterwards, he and his wife walked from the judge's chamber hand in hand after the hearing. He got his wife to drop the fucking charges, basically. And they said, "We're doing so much better now," and it was a drug thing, and now he's in rehab, and it's wonderful. They hugged for the reporters outside the courthouse.
What a roller coaster.
Then left separately with their lawyers. It was it's all publicity.
For show.
Yep. They said that the couple could be back together as early as Thursday if financial and other conditions could be agreed upon. What is this, a team?
What financial?
He's trying to sign her to the team if we could reach an agreement on the financial things. So, her lawyer says they believe he's been off drugs for about 3 weeks. So at this point, he's allowed to get a $60,000 contract in October of 86 to play with the Hopel Ramat Gan, a team in Tel Aviv in Israel. He's going to go over there. But he never ends up going there for some reason. It never ends up happening. He signs the contract and then it never comes to fruition. There was an argument, I know, with his immigration status to Israel. Basically, like
he's a criminal.
Well, not even that. He had to be contributing something educational or something like that, and he wasn't. And the team tried to say he was, and they told him they couldn't bring him in. Yeah. I don't know. Plus, he's a criminal, which is probably what it was.
He's a fucking drug addict. We don't need him here.
I think generally that's what it was here. And then in 1987, the Munich-based International Basketball Association here, their governing body refused to approve his contract there as well, given the reason of his history with drug abuse. And the ban was there was no official document indicating Richardson was released from an amateur team he used to play for in Denver, which is that's bullshit. It's fine. So early 1987, he's facing those charges for defrauding an insurance company. They're coming to fruition now. He's facing prosecution in Bergen County on charges he defrauded this company. It's, like we said, a little under $10,000. He pleads innocent to these charges. There, he says he's been banned from the NBA, and he doesn't have money for bail and all that kind of shit, but they let him out on a personal recognizance bond. So there's that. He could face a maximum of 6 years in prison if he is convicted of charge of theft by deception and forgery. Not wonderful for him. So May 6th, 1987, he's playing for the USBL, U.S. Basketball League, the Long Island Knights. There was a shitload of like minor league basketball back then. ACPBL, CBA, as we know about, CBPL, Canadian League, the EBL, the Eastern League, Global Basketball League, Independent Basketball, Iowa Basketball Exposure League.
Exposure?
They play with their balls swinging. Ball swinging, Jimmy. The IBL, International League.
Show us how black your asshole is.
Yeah, we'd like to see it. It was on a scale of Isaiah Thomas to Larry Bird. Where does it fall? So Kentucky Basketball Developmental League, Metro East Basketball League, National Rookie League, National NABL also, Tobacco Road Basketball League, Jesus Christ, World Basketball League, West Coast Professional League. He's cut by the USBL after a while. There's some problems, basically, here. He wasn't doing anything with the plays. He was just doing what he felt like doing. And they released him, saying that he was disruptive to the team and disrespectful to the coach.
He's playing pickup basketball in our professional league. Pretty much,
He responded by telling the press that the Knights bounced paychecks to him and ran an unprofessional organization. So, for 2 days later, though, he's signed by the Jersey Jammers. And Henry Bibby's his coach, Mike Bibby's dad. After 2 weeks, Bibby said, "I'm happy with his attitude. Wherever he goes in the NBA, he'll have to fit into a structured system. He's shown me that he's trying to do that here." He's doing okay. It's at this point where he sues his old psychiatrist.
Oh, the drug dealer guy?
Yeah.
Or drug doer guy.
He announced that he's filing a $3.5 million suit against him, blaming the doctor for continued cocaine abuse that resulted in his expulsion from the NBA. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
He's trying to go with detriment to my career?
Yeah, which is probably true, but not to say that led to...
He's still got to make the decision.
The doctor at this point was already serving 1 year probation after pleading guilty to purchasing 6 vials of crack in Greenwich Village, like he said here. Richardson was treated by him in 1986, and then he tested positive and did all of his things that we know about here. The suit was filed, and his wife was there with him filing the suit and having a press conference.
Remember when he said people in rehab blame other people for their problems?
Yeah.
And I just like drugs?
Yeah, I just like them.
I mean, that sentence is kind of biting him in the balls right now.
$3.5 million. Now, the doctor told prosecutors, by the way, when he was arrested, he told police and then prosecutors, he purchased the crack to check whether it is really a derivative of cocaine, is what he said.
Okay.
But then they found out a whole bunch of people that said they would sell him coke all the time and shit. And he knew, fine.
Also, buy an encyclopedia or something.
An associate here said, quote, he should be better known as Dr. Feelgood. As you can imagine, his aftercare treatment was not exactly helpful.
That's fantastic.
No shit. It said that the suit claims that his treatment did not meet the standards of acceptable medical practice. And as a result, that's fine. I could see that as a medical malpractice thing. Richardson seeking lost wages of $725,000 plus $50,000 for 2 years worth of lost product endorsement contracts and compensation of $2 million in future wages and punitive damages. So January 1988, he goes to the CBA to play for the Albany Patroons. Oh boy. They said, his coach said, Michael's at the point where he knows he's got to prove that he's going to stay straight. No fucking shit.
He's got to patroon it.
He's got to patroon it. He receives $560 a week as his pay.
Wow.
There. And what else does he? And they stay at a Quality Inn.
Oh, no.
That's where they stay. So it's a very different.
It's like he's getting paid the same as a mechanic at this point.
Yeah, he's
weekly
living at a Quality Inn. So, he said he talks with his old teammates once a week. He says he wants to come back to the NBA if he could. He said, quote, I had a lot of problems there, so I feel like they owe me something. But if they decide they don't want me, I'll move on. So here he is. He's in Albany now. He's playing for the Patroons. Not something you want when you want to play in the NBA. I mean, he's in Montana, Albany. He's used to bad places. He tries to find people to hang out with. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's trying not to do drugs. You're in the middle of Albany.
He's in limbo.
Yeah, so what he ends up doing is to replace the drug. He puts on a little bit of weight from just trying to get off the drugs and that sort of thing.
Like people that make $520 a week.
And that's the thing. And the thing he finds, though, the best meal he can get for this is this shawarma shop. He opens the door. Who is it there? It's the shawarma man, Jimmy. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? Why'd you come? Why you go? You in Albany, Patroon? What the fuck name of your team? I don't know. Patroon? What is that?
What is a Patroon?
What fuck Patroon mean? What is that? Is it something blacker than inside of asshole of you? I don't know. You come in here, but you have. I can see cocaine. It's on you. It's all over your face. Not even your nose. By your eyes, cocaine. It's everywhere. Why you go? You don't have any extra. No. Shawarma man had a bit of a problem, but no, you can't. You can't stay. You go. No, you go. Sign say closed. You go. I no make for you. You go. I can't be around. Can't be around. And then poof, the shawarma shop is gone. Michael's very confused.
I can't believe that was inspired by a guy who rented an apartment to somebody.
She say she have money, then she no give to us. That's what he said. That was his quote in the paper.
He said it right in the paper.
Then she no give to us. You're like, you know who that guy is, right? She say she have money, then she no give to us.
The hairiest
fucking bitch. This bitch. So, 1988, he goes to... Jesus Christ.
Every time you do it, I see the terrorist that was plucked out of a hole.
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, you see. I know exactly, with the Ron Jeremy-looking guy with the cut-off sleeves on his sweatshirt.
Hairy shoulders.
Hairy shoulders, cut-off sweatshirt.
Stretched out neck.
Yep, that's the one. That's who you picture. I don't know why.
That's my guy.
That's the guy.
I see him saying, she says she have money.
She says she have money, then she not give to us. Why? Why she do that? She liar.
Holy shit.
She liar. Deserved to be raped by Dave Meggett multiple times.
That's what it was from.
Yeah, it was. He was literally besmirching a rape victim in the paper,
justifying
saying
her
she's a liar, and she say she have money, then she no give to us because she's the landlord. Justifying a woman being
unbelievable.
It was a smear piece on a rape victim. So unreal, man. So,
holy shit.
1988, Michael goes to play in Italy.
Yeah.
He joins the basketball team Knorr, Knorr, which is the food group brand. They're all the teams are owned by food companies over there. It's the most stereotypical.
Like the juicy hot dogs.
Yep. Most stereotypical fucking shit ever.
So he played for the Knorrs here?
The Knorrs, yeah. So, Frank Johnson was there as well.
No kidding.
They ended up, the problem is, he ends up being suspended because he starts a huge brawl that leads to the ejection of a record 12 players and 7 team officials.
Wow.
It had to be broken up by riot police. A fucking giant brawl that he started on the court.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, it involved Frank Johnson was in that, Kevin Johnson's brother there, who we've talked about. Yes.
Wait, Kevin Johnson's brother or Eddie Johnson's brother?
Eddie Johnson's. Yes. I say Kevin?
Right.
Jesus Christ.
They played on the same team.
I met Eddie. That's why. I meant Eddie and I saw
didn't realize
Eddie.
he played over there.
No, yeah, he played. We didn't go do Frank, but yeah, Frank, at the end of his career, he went and played in Italy. He was a marginal guy, Frank.
Really?
So, yeah.
What year is this?
This was 88.
Oh.
So he was over there in 88.
So it was at the beginning of Frank's career.
I think so, yeah. He probably went over there to earn. Yeah, he went over there to earn it.
That?
A lot of guys started like that. So the Italian teams are not okay with this. Basically, it occurred during the closing minutes of a game that was 91-73 already.
Not even close.
Knorr was left with only 3 players to finish the game. So
very similar to the Malice at the Palace. That was a blowout too.
This was ridiculous.
Didn't matter.
It's at this time that he is reinstated to play in the NBA. He's eligible to play in the NBA. If somebody will sign him, he is reinstated. He reapplies. David Stern reinstates him. The 76ers are interested.
With the brawling? Really?
Everything. They don't care. Michael Richardson tells the press that he will sign with the 76ers unless his Italian team matches the offer, basically. Here, he met briefly with the team officials. He said, quote, "The fans shouldn't worry. I'm thinking about staying. The club knows I want to stay here. If Philadelphia matches the offer, I stay. If I don't, I go. So if they don't, I go." So, hey, what are you going to do if they match the Philadelphia offer? So he's under a 2-year contract that paid him $550,000 a year over there.
Wow.
He made some bank over there. That's not bad. And the 76ers guaranteed him a 2-year deal worth $800,000 a season.
Oh.
So
you just got to match it.
But, the Sixers owner said that the team would be interested in him. Didn't know if they were going to sign him. They end up, he says he wants a 2-year deal from the Sixers. They pull the 2-year deal and offer him a 1-year deal. And he says he'll only play for a 2-year deal. And they never come to an agreement, and he never plays in the NBA again.
Stays in Italy.
So rather than come over and show that he was back in the league and looking good and drug free and, wait a year and then get another big deal, he doesn't get there.
He doesn't trust himself.
Weird thing is, when he speaks Italian, zero stutter.
Really?
Does not stutter at all when he speaks Italian.
What is that?
Don't understand it. Don't understand it.
There's a country singer that stutters like a motherfucker, and when he sings, he does not stutter.
Yeah. I mean, was it James Earl Jones is a stutterer?
Really?
Yeah. Not when he's acting. A lot of actors are like that.
Really?
Singers. I know singers that are stutters. They don't stutter when they sing. Yeah, it's weird.
That's wild.
Strange thing. So in 1989, here he ends up.
Then again, Adele doesn't sound British when she sings either.
No, neither does anybody British, really, for the most, except for Oasis. They sound the most British.
Very British.
No matter what. So after he's in 89, he ends up working also for a sports management firm, the one run by Roger Staubach's company at the time. Keeps playing in Italy, fails a drug test around 91, of course. Plays in Europe all through the 90s.
Really?
I mean, he is playing up until 2001 in Italy.
Really?
Which is fucking crazy.
That's an almost 60-year-old man.
Yeah. Oh, he was playing old as fuck, man. He said that he was going to play for somewhere in Croatia, but he said the competition in Italy is better, and so was the money. He was 43 in 1998-99. He's 43 years old. He is 22 years older than his youngest teammate.
Wow.
So it's fucking crazy. He's almost doubled the guy's age.
It's like if
more
Phil
than double
Jackson
his age.
just throws on a jersey.
Yeah, coming out there. By the way, Manute Bull, it came out that the guy who found him came out. I don't know if you saw this today. Came out it was not today. It was a while ago. He said that he made up Manute Bull's birthday.
What?
Manute Bull was like 50 when he played in the NBA.
Get the fuck out of here.
Manute Bull was in his late 40s and early 50s when he was playing in the NBA. He said, I just made up a birthday. He said he didn't know his actual birthday, but we knew he was 20 years older than we were saying he was. We just told everybody he was 23.
That makes so much sense.
That's why he looked 100, because he was in his 50s. He was like 55 years old.
Shave his head because it's fucking gray.
Yeah, he was in his 50s. That's why. He was old as shit.
That makes so much sense.
Is that crazy?
Why he couldn't fucking move?
Yeah.
Why he was so unathletic.
He was a 7'7" man who was in his 50s.
Right.
I mean, think about the arthritis and shit, but he fucking amazing that he could do that.
So young.
Yeah.
That he wasn't young.
He wasn't that young.
He was fucking 90.
He was in his 60s, I think, when he died, which for a guy that tall is fine. That's wild, isn't it?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a criminal athlete who was the guy who found him.
Really?
He was a coach that we'll talk about. He'll have his own episode.
Great.
So, he ended up staying overseas. He played 14 seasons in Italy, France, and Croatia. He was moving around. At that point, he was playing pro ball in Italy and living in the south of France.
Killing it.
What
the fuck?
He says of the French countryside, quote, I like it there. It's away from the hustle and bustle.
I would say
it's the
fuck.
French countryside, yeah.
You're failing upward?
You're failing upward, yeah. He says that, he had to say during his last season at that point he was done. He said, I was put out of the NBA because of drugs, but you know what? I always wake up and kiss my blessings. Okay. Here I am 16 years later and I'm still playing professional ball, still doing my thing. So I ain't mad at nobody. All I ask is that you be real. Don't paint me out to be no choir boy because I wasn't. Just judge me for what I was able to do on the basketball court. Nothing else. That's all I ask, because where there's motherfucking shit, there's always some motherfucking sugar.
What?
I love it. Where there's some motherfucking shit, there's always some motherfucking sugar. I wish that could be the title of the episode.
That is amazing.
That's wild. So 2006-07, he ends up coaching the Albany Patroons. They hire him as a coach. He, I guess he's just always yelling at the officials and shit like that, but he's a great coach.
I'm sure.
He's winning games and shit like that. At one point, though, one of the team owners said, quote, "Sugar simply disappeared for a few days, leaving me to coach the team for a couple of games.
The owner.
When he came back, he offered no excuses, and I guess we were all too afraid to ask him where he'd been and what he'd been doing." Freebasing?
Yeah.
You don't want to hear that.
You imagine Jerry Jones coaching and then that goddamn
he's coming
Garrett
down.
wandering back on the field?
Sorry, I missed a couple.
Coach.
Sorry, I'll be all right. He also missed 2 games to work in a fantasy camp in Las Vegas with Darryl Dawkins during an NBA's All-Star Weekend.
They're still friends.
They were pissed at him. And then in 2007, when talking about his contract, he said some stuff that just doesn't sound very good. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. He is talking... he's discussing general manager offered him his, Monday to coach his team, and he said, quote, this is Michael, quote, "I've got big-time lawyers. I've got big-time Jew lawyers."
Oh, boy.
Okay. Then the reporter said, "Hey, that might be offensive to some people, what you said. Do you really want us to write that?" He said, "Are you kidding me?
They're the best lawyers."
He said, quote, "Are you kidding me? They are. They've got the best security system in the world. Have you ever been to an airport in Tel Aviv? They're real crafty." Listen, they're hated all over the world, so they've got to be crafty.
Oh, no! No!
He's saying...
Shut up!
Yes. He's saying that there's a lot of people that are after them, are all around them where they live, so they have to be crafty, but that just didn't sound good.
No!
Then he continued.
They hid under houses and shit. They're crafty.
Oh, he continued. He says, "They got a lot of power in this world. You know what I mean? Which I think is great. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. If you look in most professional sports, they're run by Jewish people. If you look at a lot of most successful corporations and stuff, more businesses, they're run by Jewish. It's not by Jewish. It's not a knock, but there's some crafty people."
Unbelievable.
Then 2 days later, a fan was heckling him, and he said, "Shut the fuck up," and then called him, he said, "Shut the fuck up, faggot," into the thing, and that's just, I don't know, I didn't know how else to say that. So there it is.
That's what you say.
That's what he called him.
It's the sports.
It's an old black man yelling at somebody in the crowd. That's what he said. That's the fucking quote. So between those two things in a couple of days, the Albany team's like, what do we do here?
Yeah.
He says that if anything, he should be called anti-black, not anti-Semitic, Michael. That's what he says. He says his ex-wife is Jewish. His kids are being raised Jewish. And he tells that his lawyer, who really is Jewish, called and laughed when he heard the quotes and said that his wife's father couldn't believe the controversy. And then David Stern actually also came to his aid as well. They were like, you hear some of the stuff blacker than the inside of his ass. You know what I'm saying? He just says
aren't
stuff.
Offended by that?
He just says stuff. We don't know.
He said where there's shit, there's sugar.
There's shit, there's sugar. Motherfucking sugar. Yeah. So,
That's awesome.
Richardson said, quote, "It was totally blown out of proportion. It's over. Life goes on. You know what I mean? It was totally false. Albany decides not to renew his contract. He's gone. So now he's fucked. He's pissed people off. Yeah. His kids are got to be embarrassed. Like, Jesus Christ, Dad, don't do shit like this.
We're Jewish.
Come on, man.
I have it hard enough.
Right?
I'm a half-black Jew.
What do you want from me?
Jesus Christ, man. Calm down with the words.
I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy.
Yeah.
But not nearly as I feel bad for Michael Richardson, Vice President of Publisher Products at Xander, an AT&T company in Portland, CEO at Merchant Fee Removal Service in Austin. Michael Richardson, CEO at Newest Capital in Denver. He's in Denver.
Yeah.
And Michael Richardson, Business Development Manager at Aqualogics, Inc. in Lakeland, Florida. And then finally, co-CEO at Banner Oil and Gas, LLC in Oklahoma City, which is right where he is.
Really?
Where he moved to Lawton, Oklahoma in 2007.
Oh, no.
Because he signs to coach the Oklahoma City Cavalry of the CBA.
That's not the Thunder.
That's not the Thunder. June of 2011, he went to coach a team in Thailand, the Chiang Thailand Slammers, which sounds
That sounds offensive as
It's
fuck.
very racist and offensive. That's worse than his Jew quote. His Jew
name of the
fucking
team
rant.
sounds way worse.
And the Jews, they control everything. You know what I'm saying? And I like it. They're crafty. Like that was like a weird.
I'm gonna go coach
holy shit.
the Chang.
Wow. I'm choked in the Ching Changs over there in China. I don't know what the fuck country I'm at. I don't know. Wow. So, he says right now I'm pretty happy. I mean, there's some things I would do over if I could. Yeah, but I can't worry about now. It's over and done. 2011, he takes a job as the coach of the London Lightning. Mm-hmm. This is in Canada, London, Ontario.
Got it.
Of the newly formed National Basketball League of Canada. Oh. He wins 2 titles in 3 years with this team.
What?
Absolutely here. 2 titles in 3 years, crushes, and then the third year they lost in the finals to another team.
He has done great.
Great team.
What the shit?
June of 2013, he and, who was it? Birdsong, I think? Yeah, Birdsong and a few others do a big charity thing at elementary schools that were destroyed by that big tornado in May of 2013.
In Joplin?
I don't know exactly where here. 50 students were there to participate. These are kids that, like, lost their homes and shit like that. So he was doing that. He's said if I thought there was anything I could do to help, I'm going to do it. The tornado killed 24 people, including 10 children, and injured more than 300.
I think it was Joplin.
Yeah, it's 7 of the, that's Missouri, though. This is Oklahoma.
Oh.
Might be the same storm system.
Might have been.
7 of the children who died were crushed when the tornado slammed the Plaza Towers Elementary School.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that's bad.
Jesus.
That's rough. 2014, he leaves the London Lightning. He said it was a lot of fun. It was exciting. It was something new to the country. He said it was great. Wonderful. He said, but they're letting him go. And he says, it's a business. I enjoyed it there. I made a lot of friends. I hope to keep them as friends and all this type of shit. By the way, when he was in Albany, there was a big controversy over referees that were like fixing games and shit.
Perfect.
Not that he was doing it, but that was that time period during his games. He had disagreements with the owner here of this team is the problem, the London Lightning. And he says that he didn't like the owner's increasing involvement with how he handled the team and all of that sort of thing. His team's lost only 19 games in his first 2 years of play. His final coaching record with London was 101-42 and was selected Coach of the Year and Co-Coach of the Year.
Unbelievable.
And they don't want him.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's how much of a pain in the ass he is.
I guess, yeah, the owner wants control, and this guy, he's going to do what he wants because he played.
Right.
Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, rich Canadian person. I played in the fucking NBA. I'm an all-star, you dumb shit. So, God damn it.
I can coach this bouncing hockey. I know how to do this.
Can do it. So he goes back to Oklahoma there, 2016, does basketball camps with Otis Birdsong and other people here. He's also a substitute teacher of pre-kindergarten kids, as he says. And, he says that he's also likes teaching the game to 3 and 4 year olds.
Oh, boy.
He likes teaching them the basics,
Yeah.
tells them, see this ball?
Yeah.
There's only one name on it, and it's Spalding, so that means you pass it. Doesn't belong to you. Okay? I like that. Only got one name on it.
He really says that?
Yeah, he says that to the kids. He goes, this ball only got one name on it, and it's none of yours. It's Spalding, so that means you pass that thing around.
Wow.
Don't be a ball hog. He's teaching them not to be a ball hog.
He's so good with the quotes.
He is. He's very quotable. He says, hey, I got my certificate and want to do a little more of that, talking about teaching kids. I've been working to get it for 4 or 5 years. It's really the young kids. I'm certified for older kids, too, but I don't have the patience for the older kids. So they have attitudes and shit. Also in 2016, he was hired by the NBA. He called David Stern, saw him at a camp, sat next to him, and they spoke, and David Stern vouched for him, and he ended up hired by the NBA to conduct basketball camps for kids in India, Indonesia, and Africa to teach them the game, because he loves teaching the game. 2018, he is with the Nuggets, helping out the Nuggets. He got a call from Kiki Vanderway, who's an old Knicks player, and he said, quote, he told me to give me a call if I decided to come back. I came back because my sister was getting married, gave him a phone call, and he said that he could try to find something for me to do. And he called me back, told me he wanted to give me a job, and I accepted it. And it's a job because he grew up there, so he thinks it's awesome. He was a fan of the Denver Rockets when he was growing up and shit like that. So it'll help he'll basically help young players and possibly do some overseas scouting. Basically, just wanted to bring him into the fold and make sure he's not smoking crack. So also, his job is primarily focused on aiding Denver area youth from following in the footsteps that killed his career here, so they send him out as like a representative of the team to talk to kids and do all that.
Rookie Symposium.
That's exactly Symposium. That's exactly right.
What?
Symposium.
What did I just do?
I don't know.
I just married two words together.
It's all right.
Whatever.
He says, when asked about it, he said, quote, "It's going real well. It's going to be a lot bigger and more satisfying than I thought it would be. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. I think I'm already affecting lives. The kids I've spoken to are very excited. I'm ready to begin to reach out and touch a lot of people."
Oh, boy.
Hopefully not in their black assholes. Let's hope not. Can't get enough of Michael Ray?
Oh, boy.
Oh, you can read Sugar, Michael Ray Richardson, 80s Excess, and the NBA by Charlie Rosen, which is where probably 80% of his quotes came from. Very good book. Awesome stuff there. Get that. You can go on eBay. Autographed jersey starting at only $85 for the bidding.
Really?
Yeah, I saw one for sale. Buy it now for like less than $150. So you can get an autographed jersey for pretty cheap from this guy here. Also, goldinauctions.com, 1981-82, Michael Richardson, game used Knicks uniform, full uniform, game used, shorts, jersey, the whole deal. Tiny. There's no price. That's an auction. So tiny shorts, dude.
Right.
Fucking
out.
nut hugging Daisy Dukes.
Shit, yeah.
So
I kind of want that.
That's pretty wild stuff. It's probably expensive, but not that expensive.
$500,
I don't know. Maybe game worn. Probably. It's not like he wore it in the NBA Finals or anything. So who cares?
It might have some Coke residue on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
That is Michael Ray Richardson. Everybody.
Wow.
That's quite the tale.
It really is.
That was one I was saving for after a week off because I figured you'd need it.
I'd never heard of him.
That's what I mean. Because he disappeared in '86 and went overseas. Unless you were a big fan in the early '80s, you wouldn't. Nobody would know who the fuck he was.
And he was so good.
So good. I mean, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they all compared him favorably to themselves.
They all
and
said he was the best.
Bird said he was the best. Jordan says he's one of the two guys he hates playing against. Magic said his game's just like mine. Can't get any better than that. And he threw it all away. So that's how it works.
That's how good Coke is.
That's how amazing Coke is, apparently. So if you think Coke is amazing or you just like the show, what you can do is let us know. Get on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon, and give us 5 stars. It's very important to do, and we don't know why, but it helps drive you up the charts. So please do that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your crime and sports and your small town murder needs, of course. Right. I know you have needs, and we're going to meet them for you.
We'll do our best.
All sorts of merchandise, all sorts of stuff there. Listen to Small Town Murder if you haven't every Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen to P.S. I Hate This Movie every Friday, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please do all of that stuff. If you want to be, well, you know what? Follow us on social media first. First we'll be friends, and then we'll talk about intercourse in a second here. Follow us on social media. Follow us. We're at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. Then, if you're into us...
That's all for Small Town Murder. What about crime and sports?
And you want to do that, what about it?
Yeah.
Crime and sports. You can follow that, too.
Yeah. Did you give that one?
I did not, because we're doing this show. But it's all at Crime and Sports. Crime and sports everywhere.
Right.
I did Small Town Murder, and we're doing crime and sports. I don't know what I'm doing. Why did I do that one? Because I just mentioned Small Town Murder. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've freebased a lot here, you know what I mean? So I don't know what I'm doing here. So
it's at Crime and Sports.
It's at Crime and Sports, at Crime and Sports. On Instagram, it's at Small Town Murder. That's why. I was starting with Instagram, and then I fell apart. Wheels came off of that shit.
That was fun.
Wow. I'm like, what's happening? So follow us there. Do all of that. If you want to be a producer, have your name mispronounced, and have access to all of our wonderful Patreon bonus stuff, which is all sorts of good stuff. This week, we're going to be going over all sorts of like kind of expose kind of sports books, and I'll give you some reviews and some information and some neat little controversial shit and some books for you guys to check out that are kind of weird and funny. So check that out. You can do all of that very easily at patreon.com/crime and sports. And like I said, anything over the $5 level, you're going to get access to everything, not only from this year, but even last year's bonus shit. Everything. There's a ton of stuff up there. It'll take you a while to catch up. So get on there and do that. And if you just want to be a good, nice person and have good karma and just give us a few bucks because you like the show and you appreciate what we do, you can do that as well over at PayPal, and use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, if you want to get a hold of us there. And I don't know, Jimmy, I need it. It's been a wild episode. It's been a whole lot of crazy talk, and Awesome quotables.
Oh, boy.
Quote me the names of the best goddamn people on the face of the earth. Hit me with them, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Christopher Dobronsky, Sarah Surridge, Jackie Sukup, Karen Lewis, Zachary Villanova, Anna Nanashi, Chrissy Zivenhoven, Chrissy Ann Castaldi, Lori Pites, Ava Green, Alicia Belcher, Marie Kirkland, Rob Lanto, Doug and Steph Urban, Cheryl Shine, Erica Silberstein, Laurel Paquin, Ain, I think, Jill Knapp, Mark Peralta, Christian Wall, Mallory Crow, Daniel Barbier.
Yeah.
Barbier?
Sure.
Penny Payne, she's a tattoo artist in Saskatoon. Go see her. Megan Silvers, Sammy Messerly, Jacob Dockery, Amy Heiler, Andrea Stone, Allison Ramos. Happy 6th shithead? I don't know.
Okay, cool.
She didn't give his name.
Well, you know what? Happy.
And Jordan Bennett. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. We can't do it without you. Other producers this week are Jules Harris. Her daughter, Uga, is turning 3, so happy birthday. Jack Britton, Jonathan Parker, and their crew over at Artisan Cannabis CAP department. They all listen every week.
Awesome.
Alex with no last name, Kit Gaston, Rob Gibson, Lindsey Greer, Kayvon Bierman, Matt Hughes, Layla Bungard, David Bangler, Brian Fisher, Warren with no last name, Josh Larson, Morgan Grant, Graham Wilson, Clayton Lovelady, Jerome Henry, Scott Stevens, Ash B, Ramel Santos, Tessa Andrachik, I think. Probably not. Brandon Day, Jeff Chaos, Callie Weenham, Kate L. No, it's Kate's birthday. Happy birthday, Caitlin. She's up in Nova Scotia.
Oh, okay.
Jenny Bukowski, Andrea Stone said that. Tori with no last name. Casey Weatherly, Amber Laverick, Lisa Cohn, Alan Fewer, Laura Steele, Josh Guido. That one's so much fun to say. Harrison Lee, Ian C, Ava M, Ashley Elliott, Emily Marie, Anthony Shiani, Elizabeth Davey, Giovanni Brazel. No, Kyle Ruest, Ralph Snart, I think it's Snart, Jism, no, that can't be right, Jizem, Yali Pepper, I apologize, Jesse Lawson, Courtney Cheney, Isabel and Gary Pickren, Chris Cleveland, Brent Kreider, Kristen Richards, Kristen Kilgore, Jennifer Nance, Eric Thompson, Luke Bayless, Joe Bellahem, and he donated so many different. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Ray Sanders, Roxanne Peterson, Katie Pugh. You guys are hot. I don't know if that's 2 people. What did I? Taishara Jones, I think. I'm sorry. Benjamin Weisner, Preston Shutt, David Stuck, Michael Gruner, Bryce Bronecki, Daniel Kleeman, Morgan Schwartz, Jennings Shore, what did I say? Sokler McCoy? That's not right. Tay Schofield, Jack Ochio Grosso? Probably not. Mike Thomas, G. Jones, Lacey Paxton, Nicole Evans, Ariel Ortiz, Lisa Gibson, Sydney Vittori, obviously.
Hey.
Stacy Gillen, Misty Everett, Leilani Mara, Pedro Gonzalez, Janelle Boyd, Christian Matt Bodko, I think. Probably not. Connie Smith, Tristan Reyes, Nathaniel Russell, Beth Casto, Stephanie Paul, Stephen with no last name, Ashley Hamilton, Bradley Dooley, Megan Steinberg, Donna Burnett, Sarah I'm Tall. It's not a last name. Stephen Cloutier, Ariel Teague, K.S., Sherry Brickbill. Probably not. Chris Ringland, Angela Catrix, Shay, is that Shay? Oh, it's Thea S. Vicky Morley, Vincent with no last name, Dustin Van Dyke, obviously, what is it?
Dick and Jerry's.
Obviously.
Relative.
Emily with no last name, Stacy Manley, Aaron Presley, Verena Hutter, Erica with no last name, Tia Hall, Lisa Smith, Marcy Desotele, no. Ashton Trammell, Katie Somerville, Kimberly Sharp, Wayne Davis, John Vaught, Shane Sullivan, June Johnson, Lucille 87, Jason Wright, Haley with no last name, Lexi Posh, Alyssa in Chains, well done, Jennifer Silva, Hogan's Heathens, whoever they are, David Aller, Kate LaRue, Charisse, I think, Epps, Chris Reisenbeck, Jen Hardman, Alabama Sassafras.
Nice.
Jim E. Can't read. Oh, you fucker. Stefan with no last name. Ruby Schaefer. Kristen Payne. Danielle Moorish. Christy with no last name. Ed Soderstrom. Court of Public Opinion podcast. April Carrillo. Ann Nico. Gary with no last name. Michelle Hansen. Karina Lutmers. Maddox McCullough. Crystal Rolfe. Michelle Duncan. Derek Harding. Tasha Harmon. Sal with no last name. Sandy Ebsen. Adam Chichi. Sam Hartrup, James Dweech, fuck, Terry Collier, Aiden Smith, Teresa Schnell, Stevie Hinkle, Andrew what did I do? Combus? Probably not. Annie Franken, Ivana Torres, Monica Rodriguez, Denise Poorboy, Cam Smith, Scott Solos, Carly McGillivray. Probably. Joey Image, he's a wrestler, and he sends me messages about our wrestling episodes and adores you. So thank you, Joey.
Well, thank you.
He's going to bring, he has to bring Sonny to one of our shows. Which,
great.
If you show up with her, Joey, I'll cry ugly tears. Johnny Crable, Steve Strickland, I said that. Snuggle Love, Rose Wiener Spoford. No. Judy Jennings, Beth Burke, Matthew Quick, Milva 12, Dante Davali, JB Wallace. Oh, it's JJ Wallace. What an email. Thank you very much,
Thank
JJ. Hang in there, man. Seriously, keep going. Rem Dem, Ashley Rowland, Elizabeth Zarkos, Robert Magruder, Josh Johnson, Mariah Jensen, James with no last name, Will with no last name, Joanna Gillis, Callie Baldridge, Melissa Tulini, Daniel Griffin, Romina Ganiro. I don't know if that's an R or K. Thomas Slater, Norib with no last name, Clayton Treble, Danielle Rogers, Wade Blaine, Sarah with no last name, Ann with no last name, Tyler Carr, Jody with no last name, Owen Paratis, I think, Jordan Harbin, Trish Murley, what does this say? Making COVID. Oh, she makes COVID masks.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Trish. Hang in there. Keep going. Keep making those. Andrew Welmers, Christina Horton Morris, Eater Zamoa, Stacy Holtz, Penny Carver, Eddie Sanchez, Anus. No, it's not. What? Anuj Jamiri?
Bong Bong, another man Anus.
Gimiri. Thank you. Kendra Helm. I don't think it says anus. I think that's a J.
Oh, okay.
It might be an S. Alex Gannetti, Dylan Ide, Jesse Pitts, Sean Stevens, Quincy Moe, Liz Nelson, Jules Harris, Dominique Basoma. She lost a stray. Sorry, Dominique. Hang in there. Amanda Yates Garcia, Sharon Jernigan, Sarah Bell Wumers, Naomi McCarthy, Stephen Rude, thanks, Stephen, Dana Riley, Stephen Whitmore, Jake Metter, Gino Golan, Jack Hicks, Larry Blunk, Karen with no last name, James Hooper, Jenny Shader, HJC, Molly McCarthy, Peyton Meadows, Mackenzie Asprey, that's Ree Rendell, SoundCloud Bliss, Dion Horn, James Martyr, Home Stretch, Charlotte Hill, Amanda Dixon, Milagros Gonzalez, that is the whitest that's ever been said, Dr. Steve Schnell, congratulations, brother. He finished his PhD program and passed his test. Way to go, buddy. Natalie Howe, Tracy Renninger, Jude Kendall, Tara Gilchrist, Stacey Ray Boardman, Margaret Lubert, Janice Hill, Ashley Vio, Holly Davidson, Stephen Tucker, Amanda Knight, Autumn Kia, Brendan Abel, Stephen Mace, happy birthday, Big Dick Boo from Gigi. Weird. Kira Donahue is the Empress of Heirlooms.
Oh.
And all of our patron supporters, you guys really change lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, so much, honestly, from the bottom of our hearts for everything you do for us. And we will keep trying to put out the best Patreon stuff we can for you guys. And just a variety is what we're looking for. Just different stuff as long as it's funny.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do. Jimmy, what if they wanted to get a hold of you and tell you that you were funny? How could they do that?
You can find me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter and Instagram. What about you?
You can find me over at Jimmy P is Funny, or just copy and paste my name so you don't have to try to spell it. That said, it's been a fucking
what a story.
It's been a wild episode, so absorb all of that shit, have a good time, and live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you
like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.